Come on, come in. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, what's going on, everyone? I gotta change my camera's brightness. I think we're a little too bright. That's a little better. I feel like whenever I wear this shirt, I just blend into the background. But that's all right. How's it going, everyone? How are you guys? We got an important information chapter, inside information chapter. You're on the dragon side. Maybe we'll be on the dragon side after we finish this chapter. Yeah, I kind of feel like a floating head with some arms. What's up, guys? What's up? We got a long chapter, which everyone knows how I feel about long chapters. I love them. This is a long one. This is almost 20 pages. Very excited. Very excited for a good long chapter. How are you guys? I gotta move my camera over. There we go. That's a little better. What a beautiful day. I don't know if any of you guys are having a beautiful day, but goodness gracious, the summer that we've been getting here in the Northeast of the United States of America has been the greatest summer to date. We had the hardest winter of my entire life, and now we have one of the greatest summers. The weather is like 85 every single day, and it gets cool at night, and oh, it is glorious. You're 30 seconds behind since you're working only on Wi-Fi. Bummer. How do I feel about combining the chapter after this one with either the one before it or after it? It's fairly short. Yeah, I saw that. I think I'm going to combine it with the next one because I think this chapter is long. So I was thinking about doing, because yeah, Not at Home's not that short. Or yeah, it's not that short. I'll probably combine it with the next one though, because Fire and Water and Not at Home are roughly the same as, they're probably less pages than this chapter combined. So I might do the next two chapters combined because there's actually two things that I want to, and I might do two chapters. Wow, like there's one that is A Thief in the Night that is like 3 pages. So I'll probably combine the next two as well. And then, yeah, like there's a lot of short chapters that come up. So we'll definitely have to combine some. My shirt was made by elves. Maybe. It hides me very well. You're just dying to a heat wave. Bummer. You're melting and burning all at once. Maybe we're giving you all of our bad weather. Not nice and warm, but not hot and sunny in Danbury. Huh, interesting. We got a nice sunny day here. I'm only like a few hours away from you too. Filled with dread over the fact that autumn is coming. Is autumn your least favorite holiday? Winter's my season. Winter's my least favorite season, although I'm coming to appreciate it because my dog really loves it. So I have to be out in winter. Okay, so I was thinking, so this is the last large chapter. So there's a few reasons I want to do this. I have been loving The Hobbit. It is everything that I want a children's story. It's probably the best children's story that I've ever read. And I love children's literature. Children's literature is the best. I think that we're going to have a lot to talk about as the book goes on toward the end. Last chapter, there were some things that I could have made videos on. There were some things that I could have written about. I feel like there wasn't that much to talk about in the last chapter on the doorstep. Maybe a few things for what Tolkien did. But I feel like there's less to talk about, which is okay. I'm like fine with having less to talk about. I think that's going to ramp up as we go on. But I do think that I want to get to the Silmarillion so bad that I am. So today is the last Sunday in July, right? Yeah, last Sunday in July. Inside information this chapter. So we're going to do inside information this chapter. Then next Sunday, we'll do Not at Home. And we'll do Fire and Water, because both are relatively short chapters. So we'll knock those two out. I think I should be around the following week with the Gathering Clouds. So we'll do the Gathering Clouds and A Thief in the Night, which are short, legitimately very short. And then we have 3 chapters after that, which will break up. So I somewhat wouldn't mind being done by the end of August so that in September I can do some of the Silmarillion. I feel like that'd be a great time to start the Silmarillion. I don't know why, I don't know anything about the Silmarillion, but a fall, September, late summer start of the Silmarillion just feels right for some reason. My expressions for the first few chapters of the Silmarillion, they might be all over the place. We'll see. I don't know what to expect, but I'm very, very excited. And The Hobbit, like none of the videos that I'm doing of The Hobbit are really doing exceptional. There's like I had one a while ago that did well, and I'm not really doing it for video performance. I'm essentially just like documenting my thoughts. But children's literature is different because you do have thoughts about it, but a lot of them are repetitious thoughts. Like I had more variety with Lord of the Rings stuff. So I think my Hobbit stuff has been feeling a little repetitious with some of the stuff that I'm making, because it's just like talking about small little changes and stuff that Tolkien is doing, which I just kind of all that I do. But I'm kind of excited for the Silmarillion. Ooh, start the Silmarillion on Hobbit birthday. That is a brilliant idea. That's when we're going to start. That's set in stone. We'll do things in between then. I think we'll probably finish the Hobbit right before then. Maybe like a week or 2 before then. That is a great idea. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a go on fairy stories. Yeah, and Cordy, or Trick, I'm exactly with you there. Like each chapter does feel very episodic. I think this would be such a good TV show. Like I just keep thinking about that as I'm reading. Like I'm bummed that they didn't make it into a TV show. This should be like an episode by episode TV show. But yeah, it is very repetitious with certain things that happen. It is like geared for children. There's lessons to be learned. So there's not that there's less literary criticism that you can do for this, but there is a little bit less of deep dives on things that you can do. Like I did think that there was going to be. I think part of the thing is too, I just don't think of the movies really at all when I'm reading The Hobbit. Whereas The Lord of the Rings, I think about the movies more. Like the Hobbit movies are just not a part of my mind. Maybe a few scenes, but not really. So I don't know. Not at Home and Fire and Water, good companion chapters. Okay. Finish The Hobbit. And then, yeah, honestly, yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'll finish The Hobbit, and then The Quest of Erebor might be, we might do that chapter. And then maybe we'll start the Silmarillion. And then maybe in between some Silmarillion stuff, like, because I think the Silmarillion is going to be slow. Maybe in between some of that, we'll do some of his other essays. Farmer Giles of Ham. Yeah. Worrying about the spoilers becomes a bit ridiculous. Yeah, I kind of feel it too. I'm not gonna worry crazy about spoilers when I get there. I think it's more just like I want to understand things. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. I think the stories are just gonna be different. It feels like something more to be studied and poured over than like be super conscious of spoilers. Attila, what's up? You didn't miss too much. We're just talking about what we're gonna do on the schedule and how if we're gonna finish the Hobbit quicker or slower. Which we're gonna probably do it a little quicker. We're gonna do 2 chapters at a time. After this chapter today, we're probably gonna go at 2 chapters per for the rest of the book. So yeah, we're having a scheduled meeting right now. Aside from internal spoilers, just don't talk about the end of the Silmarillion when he's reading chapter 1. Yeah, exactly. I think everyone has enough like basic understanding of what this channel is, who watches it, that like, you know, there's things that I'm gonna ask that you guys are very good at this. You guys are like the cream of the crop at this. There's things that I ask that you guys clearly know you like can answer me on certain things, and there's things that are like integral to the plot of the Silmarillion that you're gonna be like, just, you know, wait, read and find out. Figure it out soon. Yeah, we forgot to say, like the stream, everyone. Come on. Everyone like the stream. Like that stream. Ah, hold on. Bummer. Oh, good. Okay, never mind. We're good. I'm not gonna start the Silmarillion tomorrow. That'd be wild. We're planning. I think the Silmarillion start will be September 22nd. That's his birthday. September 25th. When was it? I should know that off the top of my head. I'm embarrassed that I don't know that. September 22nd. Ah, come on. Is there a famous date in September? Because honestly, we like that will probably be the time that we start it. Does September like 16th have any significance to? Well, when is September 22nd? Let me look at a calendar because I probably we'll start it on the Sunday. Calendar. Oh, that's August. September 22nd is a Tuesday. Maybe we'll start the 20th. I have to grow elf years. Aren't elf years a lie? Ooh, September 16th is Mexican Independence Day. Maybe we can start on Mexican Independence Day. Doesn't have a lot to do with the Silmarillion, but it's a good day to start. Tolkien passed away on the 2nd. Maybe we do no, because we have to start on a Sunday. I feel like Sunday is like the time for readings. We got to start on a Sunday. I feel like that's just the time that we do it. It just works for this channel. Oh yeah, you guys should join us with the Count of Monte Cristo read. The Count of Monte Cristo has been so good. Calendar. Sounds like a Brandon Sanderson name. Dalinar, Elhokar, Adolin, and Calendar. It really does sound like a fantasy character's name. Pointed ears is debate is disputed. Interesting. I'm curious to see if I'll see anything about pointy ears. Hobbit ears, he says, doesn't he say only slightly pointed? So just kind of like mine. Mine are maybe a little slightly pointed. Right at the top there. I got little Hobbit ears. The Count of Monte Cristo is on the Classics channel. We essentially just do like a stream a week on the Classics channel right now. I gotta refigure out how the Classics channel works because it's not working that well right now. But let me find a link. If you want to subscribe, you can. We're reading. Yeah, we're just essentially doing like a discussion stream per week on what we read. Which that book is great. You guys should really read that book. Man, it's a good one. Hold on, let me go back. Now we're cooking. And I'm reading Dune. And Dune is just fun. Dune is a good one. Yeah, it's more like a book club style, not live reads. Yeah, because reading the entirety of the Count of Monte Cristo would be insane. It's just discussions, which is still fun. What was I saying? Oh, I'm reading Dune, and I'm really enjoying Dune, guys. I know some of you said that you don't like Dune. It's an interesting world. It's definitely a little bit more bleak than The Lord of the Rings. I like the writing of. I mean, nothing is going to compare with the writing of J.R.R. Tolkien. Let's be honest. But I am really liking Dune a lot. Like a lot. It's really, really good. Lots to talk about. Lots of quick videos I'm making in that. So if you want to, you can subscribe to that channel too. Got another Dune channel out there. Elves of pointy ears, hobbits go either way. I love that you love Dune. Tolkien's physical descriptions of people are never very clear. The main thing he focuses on are eyes. Yeah, that's true. Ooh, All in Account of Monte Cristo. Second favorite after Lord of the Rings. I love that. It's your second favorite. It's a good book. Yeah, Tolkien wasn't a fan of Dune. Still a good book though. Leaf-shaped ears are pointy. Depends on what kind of leaf we're talking about. You read a scholar's essay that was intended to prove that elves don't have pointed ears and came out of it convinced that they did. I love that. Oh, you're late because you were listening to your brother reading Harry Potter for the first time? That's amazing. That makes me so happy. Oh, that's a great book to read aloud too. Um, man, that makes me oh, reading out loud to other people is I mean, I do that with you guys. So it's like one of my favorite things to do ever. Like just being in this like my ideal day would be if it's a nice day, a bunch of people outside or like in somewhat of a nice little area outside, enclosed, nice and quiet. Everyone's reading, everyone's quiet. Every once in a while, someone just, reads a section that they really like. Everyone goes, and then they just go back to reading. How perfect of a day is that? That's what I need. That's my Rivendell. That's the greatest day ever. Tolkien said the elf word for leaf and listen were related. So elf ears could be leaf shaped. Yeah, but what kind of leaves are we talking about? What if they're like maple leaves? That'd be wrong. That'd be ridiculous. I think the great speculative fiction authors of the 20th and 21st century are the true successors of Tolkien. What do you mean speculative fiction authors? Hopefully not an oak or a fern. Yeah, an oak leaf or a fern as an ear? That'd be wild. I read the Bible, your introspection and thoughts after reading. That would be an interesting conversation. That would be. Maybe we'll start a Bible reading channel. Talk about all my thoughts and feelings on that. That'd be interesting. That's another channel that I gotta start. I have too many channels right now. You only read the first Dune book and didn't love it. You should reread it as we're reading. I think it's fun right now. I'm only 100 pages in, maybe less. About 100 pages in, maybe. Let's see. Maybe 75. And it's fun. Oh, you finished A Song of Ice and Fire today. I love that. Attila, how'd you like it? How'd you like the end? Well, not the end. The unresolved end. How do you like the middle? Asimov Robot and Foundation books and hated doing it, but wanted to find out what happened. Interesting. I've heard that Foundation is great. That's probably what I'm going to read after I finish Dune. I don't know what I'm going to do next for Dune. We'll see. We'll see. Tiny cloverleaf shaped. I feel like a birch leaf would be it. Tolkien was disturbed by Dune. Yeah, I keep reading that. That was one of his letters. I think I don't think he ever gives the reason why he was disturbed by Dune. Hold on. Sorry. I have like speculations on why he would be disturbed with Dune. I think I can like obviously I can form an opinion without having read a lot of what Tolkien has done, but I think I would have to read like on fairy stories in order to really understand. Like I've already made videos. I made the first video that I made on the Dude channel was after I read the first. Sorry, I'm taking a pin and getting the lint at the bottom of my phone charger thing so it actually goes in. I have speculation on why he probably didn't like it, but I don't think I'm necessarily right because I've only read a little bit of Dune, and I haven't read like on fairy stories, which I don't like understand the ethos of why Tolkien wants to write fairy stories and what he believes stories are. But I really am liking Dune. Yeah, exactly, Jasper. Thank you. That's the highest compliment maybe I've ever been given. I make books fun, even if they're not fun. You should read them with us, guys. Even if you don't think that they're fun, we can make them fun. I'm trying, and there's another interesting thing that everyone has preconceived notions of Dune, and I have preconceived notions of Dune going into it a little bit, like not that much because I didn't have a ton of friends who were talking about Dune when I was growing up, but I mean everyone talks about it's a warning for false messiahs, but I'm trying to avoid that and think for myself of if it is or not. At the moment, I don't think it's necessarily a warning against false messiahs, or not false messiahs, charismatic leaders, really. Yeah, and I have heard that the Dune books get weirder and worse as they go on, but I'll make that judgment call for myself. Yeah, my Dune channel it's called First Truth Sayers. You probably should be able to find it. I could copy paste it if you guys want. Give me a sec. I'm just doing the FT for everything. So my Game of Thrones channel, which I'm doing very slow content on because I have a lot of other stuff that I'm reading, is First Throner. I don't know why. I guess that makes sense. And then First Truth Sayer for T, FT. I am the First Truth Sayer. I just did a video today because Jessica quotes Augustine. Or Augustine. How do you guys say it? Augustine or Augustine? That's the real question. And I was curious how, because I didn't know where Kaladin was. I thought Kaladin might have been taken over Earth or something like that. The Dune is just a really interesting conceptual place right now. I am thoroughly enjoying the books, but it is a really interesting world. Augustine. Augustine rather than Augustine. 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 No one says Augustine. I will maybe why did Siri jump in on that? Excuse you. I will maybe do a live read for some of the Dune stuff, but I won't do it yet. Plantstein. I like that the translator for this, YouTube does hilarious translation. Like Shania, you did AUGU in another language that means plant, and so it automatically translates that. I don't know if it does it for you guys too, but it automatically translates that for me. And it says Plantstein. So we should just call Augustine Plantstein for now on. Dune was a movie with Sting in it when I was in junior high, and they had vocab sheets for the audience because they knew they weren't gonna. Interesting. That's crazy. I've never seen the Lynch movie. The modern movies are great filmmaking. I'm curious to see the connection between the books and the movies right now. I think that's maybe the thing that I'm most interested in. I'm making a lot of like book and movie comparisons and just talking about some of the things that the book is or that the movies are missing out on. And a lot of it is really fascinating. So I've heard that the Lynch movie is really wild. You pronounce it Augustine, obviously. I don't know how you pronounce it still. But yeah, I think Dune is great. I'm really enjoying Dune right now. I think the movie's great, and the movie has like. Sorry, 1 second. I gotta get back to the stream on this tab. The movie has something that it's good filmmaking. It reminds me a little bit of like Lord of the Rings. Just the filmmaking. True fans of Dune are probably going to hate the movies, no matter what movie they produce. Same thing as like Lord of the Rings fans don't really like the Lord of the Rings movies. Like, you know, they're great, they're incredible films, but they're essentially fan-made films because they leave out so much of the movie. They leave out so much in the movie. So it's like it misses the mark. But I do really like the movies. I think they're excellent films. They tell a really intriguing story. And I'm curious if I'm going to get the same interpretation when I read through Dune as when Villeneuve did it. Oh, I miss your... Wait. You just commented a very short review. Wait, let me find it. It's far better than the show. The fourth and fifth book are 90% new. No, you hate yourself for starting this while knowing it won't be finished. You love good endings. Or any ending. Yeah, any ending would be great. Okay, Attila, here's the question too. Sorry, we're talking about a lot of stuff before we do it. There's a lot of book stuff that we can discuss. Attila, let's say that he ends the books the way that he didn't really end the show. the way that the show ends. Does that make more sense book-wise? I've heard that's true. Great books make mediocre films. Mediocre books make great films. It's hard to change this medium and still be true. Honestly, valid. Although, I don't know if I agree with that. I think I would agree with that as far as adaptations. Great books make mediocre adaptations. And mediocre books can make great movies. I don't know. That doesn't roll off the tongue quite like the way you said it. But yeah. The Prestige. Oh, great movie. I didn't even know there was a book, The Prestige. That's interesting. Well, Shawshank was originally a Leo Tolstoy novel, and then didn't Stephen King take it and adapt it? And then he made it something else, a short story, and then they took it and kind of made something great. Maybe. It makes sense if fleshed out. He is a very patient writer and it works so far. I do love that about Martin. He kind of lets his story breathe a little bit, which I love. His writing is great. I'm really enjoying his writing. It's still like none of these writers compare with J.R.R. Tolkien. It's like, yeah, how can we compare something to J.R.R. Tolkien? But they're still really fun in their own right. Like, I think you just have to go in with the right expectations. I think some people, they read through, yeah, I've heard The Princess Bride is much better as a film than the book. I know someone who just read The Princess Bride and they said it wasn't great. But yeah, when you compare something to Tolkien, you just have to go into these books with the right expectations. That's why sometimes I do think that on the Dune channel, someone had commented on a video that they were like, "This is why you have to read the books before you watch the movies because the movies are just not good." And there are some that commented my exact thoughts on that. As you guys know, my thoughts on that. That sometimes when you watch the movie first, you get joy in both. I think the Dune movies are great. I saw the Dune movies before I started reading the book. But now I get like all this extra lore by reading the Dune book, and it's just so much better in my own head. Same thing with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, I still think of I legitimately will die on this hill that I still think they're the 3 greatest movies ever made. I will die on that hill. But they hold nothing. They don't hold a candle to the mastery of the book. They don't hold a candle to the mastery of this book because it's so good. The Lord of the Rings are just the cream of the crop. And now I get joy in both because I still love the films. They hold a different place in my heart. But yeah, I do agree too. There's some written things that just don't kind of translate well. And that's the Count of Monte Cristo is a great example because I remember the 2002 version of that with who were the actors on that? Why can't I think of their names? I want to say Guy Pearce, but I don't think it's Guy Pearce. It's what's his name? Who plays Fernand? Can't remember. Great movie. I still remember I saw that for the first time a long time ago, and then I remember rewatching it on a bus and being like, "This movie is unbelievable. It's so good." Wait, is there really a Wreck-It Ralph book? I did not know that. Are you just messing with me right now? Yeah, Jim Caviezel, he plays Edmund. Who plays the stinking Guy Pearce? It is Guy Pearce? Oh, Henry Cavill's not in that. Is Henry Cavill? No way! Henry Cavill is the child in that, isn't he? Dude, that blew my mind right now. That's insane! Henry Cavill was in that. That blew my mind. That's crazy. It is Guy Pearce, yeah. I was just messing around with myself. Wow, that's crazy. A baby Henry Cavill. Crazy stuff. I love Henry. These paintings behind me are, I don't know if you can see them. They pop up in the videos. My favorite artist, Oliver Jeffers. He's a children's book writer and illustrator. And he does fine art too. And his fine art's my favorite. I love it. He also writes my favorite children's books. Children's picture books. I love children's picture books. Ooh, love that. Got on your bike, making money while listening to you. Love that. Enjoy. I do have a painting in that room by me. It's not very good, so I'm not going to show you guys. But you feel like season 5 Game of Thrones is like Rings of Power. Only some aspects remain. Some of the most important characters aren't in the show. That's why I'm excited to keep going. Like, I think the first book is a pretty good adaptation of the season, of the series so far. Or the series is a pretty good adaptation of the first book so far. But I hear they get very drastically different as they go on. So I'm excited to get there. All right, we're coming up to reading time. You guys ready? I could legitimately just chat about this stuff for eons and eons and eons. But yeah, go subscribe to the Dune channel if you haven't already, if you're into Dune. If you're not into Dune or haven't read Dune, you should read it with me. It's essentially like one chapter a week. It's really easy because chapters are quick. It was reading time a half hour ago. No, you guys all know the drill. We come in here and we chat about nothing for, not nothing. We chat about stuff that I love chatting about for half an hour, and then we read. Ooh, this is your favorite chapter as a child. I love it. I'm excited. I think did I paste that link yet? Maybe I didn't. This is the Dune channel if you guys want to subscribe to the Dune channel. I got to repost it in the actual homepage of the thing. But wow, you just got here. You're perfect timing because we're literally about to start the read. Perfect timing. This is the best chapter of The Hobbit. Okay, good. I hope there's a lot to talk about in this chapter because there wasn't a lot to talk about in the last chapter. There was some stuff, but oh, my knee, ouch. The sun's coming straight into your window. It's in my eyes. All right, here we go. This is inside information. Tilla, don't dislike this stream. Yeah, everyone's got to like the stream. I'm gonna hold this captive until we get 50 likes. Everyone's got to like the stream. Chapter 12. Inside information. Yeah, perfect timing. You do prefer a later chapter. Interesting. And above all, the Silmarillion. I can't wait for the Silmarillion. Yeah, for those of you who are just coming in, I think we're gonna not speed read The Hobbit, obviously. We're still gonna space it out. But we are gonna do 2 chapters next week, and then 2 chapters the week after that. So we're gonna get through this probably by the end of August, beginning of September. And then we're gonna start the Silmarillion mid-September, which I'm pretty pumped about. All right, chapter 12. This is inside information. For a long time, the dwarves stood in the dark before the door and debated. Until at last, Thorin spoke. What a great start for a chapter. This mission was doomed to begin with. Oh my gosh. This mission was utterly doomed. The door opens that they've been waiting and they've been journeying for months to get to. They've gone through thick and thin. They've gone through hell to get there. The door opens, a secret door, and none of them want to go in. Now is the time for our esteemed Mr. Baggins, who has proved himself a good companion on our long road, and a hobbit full of courage and resource far exceeding his size, and if I may say so, possessed of good luck far exceeding the usual allowance. Now is the time for him to perform the service for which he was included in our company. Now is the time for him to earn his reward. That is vile. That is vile from Thorin. That is vile stuff. That makes me dislike Thorin so much. As if he hasn't earned his reward for literally keeping them alive this entire stupid thing. That's an insane thing to say. And he's like tooting his horn. He's trying to woo him with all these praises. Now it's time for our esteemed Mr. Baggins, who has proved himself a good companion on our long road, and a hobbit full of courage and resource far exceeding his size, and if I may say so, possessed of good luck far exceeding the usual allowance. Now is his time. Now is the time for him to perform the service for which he was included in our company. Now is the time for him to earn his reward. Vile. That's vile, vile stuff right there. They really are cowardly. I know. Well, was he hired for this? He was hired as a burglar. I guess a burglar's job was essentially to burgle the gold away. What was the dwarves? I gotta go revisit that. The dwarves are trying to retake Erebor, no? They're trying to retake their homeland. Or are they trying to just get the gold from Smaug? Yeah, they really don't have any plan. Which is probably the biggest problem in this. They're going into this without really any plan for what they're going to do. So his job was to burgle the Arkenstone. Does it mention that in that beginning? Yeah, they really don't have a plan. You are familiar with Thorin's style on important occasion, so I will not give you any more of it, though he went on a good deal longer than this. Interesting. I love that. Tolkien is on my side there. He's like, Thorin's full of crap right now. It certainly was an important occasion, but Bilbo felt impatient. By now, he was quite familiar with Thorin too, and knew what he was driving at. If you mean you think it's my job to go into the secret passage first, O Thorin, Thrain's son Oakenshield, may your beard grow ever longer, he said crossly. Say so at once and have done. I might refuse. I have got you out of 2 messes already, which were hardly in the original bargain, so that I am, I think, already owed some reward. But 3rd time pays for all, as my father used to say. And somehow, I don't think I shall refuse. I love Bilbo. Oh, Bilbo. Perhaps I have begun to trust my luck more than I used to in the old days. He meant last spring, before he left his own house. But it seems centuries ago. But anyway, I think I will go and have a peep at once and get over and get it over. Now, who is coming with me? Bilbo's the best. Shuts Thorin up. Bilbo has advice for how to deal with an insufferable person who just keeps tooting your own horn to get you to do something. What's a person like Thorin called? What's a word for a Thorin? We should just make it. You're acting like a real Thorin right now. A thorn in my flesh. Sorry, I'm here all week. And it's so true that Bilbo really does know how to handle Thorin. Honestly, a boss. Yeah. Yeah, just pompous and manipulator. A manipulator really is it. He's got that pompous attitude to him. A windbag. I love that. Thorin is really the word for Thorin. A thorn in my side. He's worse than long-winded. I think he's worse than like just being long-winded. He's long-winded, but he's long-winded with a manipulative purpose. Yeah, your boss. He did not expect a chorus of volunteers, so he was not disappointed. Fili and Kili looked uncomfortable and stood on one leg, but the others made no pretense of offering except old Balin, the lookout man, who was rather fond of the Hobbit. He said he would come inside at least, and perhaps a bit of the way too, ready to call for help if necessary. Balin is really the greatest dwarf out of the whole company. He's the best. He's the only one that can really see and understand and read character. Like, none of the other dwarves can really understand character that well. They're all just kind of going in blindly without a plan. They don't really want to do this. They're just going because Thorin is their leader and he's their boss and they just have to do this. Balin is great. The most that can be said for the dwarves is this. They intended to pay Bilbo really handsomely for his services. They had brought him to do a nasty job for them, and they did not mind the poor little fellow doing it if he would. But they would all have done their best to get him out of trouble, if he got into it, as they did in the case of the trolls at the beginning of their adventure, before they had any particular reason for being grateful to him. There it is. Dwarves are not heroes, but calculating folk, with a great idea of the value of money. Some are tricky and treacherous, and pretty bad lots. Some are not, but are decent enough people like Thorin and company, if you don't expect too much. Interesting. Tolkien on dwarves. That is fascinating. Even Tolkien is trashing them. Dwarves are not heroes, but calculating folk with a great idea of the value of money. Some are tricky and treacherous, and pretty bad lots. Some are not, but are decent enough people like Thorin and company, if you don't expect too much. Interesting. I am so excited to read how these beings came about, because I think this is giving like a different understanding to like the whole thing with Gimli and why Gimli is such an anomaly among dwarves and why that story is so incredible to me. Like, I feel like there was a lot of weight behind that, but I didn't really understand it. And I feel like there's slow layers that are being peeled off to show Gimli's significance. He is definitely unique among, maybe that's why Galadriel was so shocked. Yeah, we gotta get to the Silmarillion. Yeah, Gimli's the best overall for sure, but the best is in this book is definitely Balin. Balin is easily the best. Like, there's no one even like all the other dwarves are kind of like this amalgamous mass of dwarves. It's like you have Balin, all the dwarves, a lot of space, and then Thorin. Thorin is just my least favorite. I just really don't like Thorin. The original will explain it. Excellent, good. I'm excited for that. The stars were coming out behind him in a pale sky, barred with black, when the hobbit crept through the enchanted door and stole into the mountain. It was far easier going than he expected. There was no goblin entrance or a rough wood elf's cave. It was a passage made by dwarves, at the height of their wealth and skill, straight as a ruler, smooth-floored, smooth-sided, going with a gentle, never-varying slope, direct to some distant end in the blackness below. After a while, Balin bade Bilbo good luck, and stopped where he could see the faint outline of the door, and by a trick of the echoes of the tunnel, hear the rustle of the whispering voices of the others just outside. Oh, they're freaking whispering too. Ugh. Then the hobbit slipped on his ring, and warned by the echoes to make more than the hobbit's care to make no sound. And warned by the echoes to make more than hobbit's care to make no sound, he crept noiselessly down into the dark. He was trembling with fear, but his little face was grim and set. Already he was a very different hobbit from the one that had run out without a pocket handkerchief from Bag End long ago. He had not had a pocket handkerchief for ages. He loosened his dagger in its sheath, tightened his belt, and went on. That's a great... Dang. He exchanged his pocket handkerchief for a sword in his sheath. I love that. That's a great sentence. He had not had a pocket handkerchief for ages. Period. He loosened his dagger in its sheath, tightened his belt, and went on. Like, now he's understanding. This guy, he knows the time for pocket handkerchiefs, and he's like, this is a serious time. Loosens his sword in its sheath, gets things ready. It's like laughable to consider Bilbo caring about a pocket handkerchief now. His journey has been exceptional. Now, you are in for it at last, Bilbo Baggins, he said to himself. You went and put your foot right in that night of the party. And now you have got to pull it out and pay for it. Dear me, what a fool I was and am, said the least tookish part of him. I have absolutely no use for dragon-guarded treasure, and the whole lot could stay here forever. If only I could wake up and find this beastly tunnel was my own front hall at home. Man. I just get more and more blown away by Bilbo every single page that we pass. Like, what is Bilbo's motive to go do this for them? Other that he just signed this contract and is, I guess, legally bound in some way to do his job here. But he doesn't want to break that. All these other dwarves are so cowardly, except for Balin. Balin's only half cowardly. I guess half courageous. None of them are courageous. They're all just sitting up there whispering about what's going to happen, not really wanting to help Bilbo. And Bilbo's essentially doing the job for them of getting the things that they need to get. And it's not even his homeland. Like, his homeland is, he's dreaming of his homeland way back there. This isn't even his homeland, and he's still helping them out. It just shows the incredibleness of hobbits. Maybe that's an essay. The incredibleness of hobbits. I'm gonna write that down. They really are the most remarkable creatures. And it's crazy too, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was in the books. I don't remember. When Gandalf says, hobbits truly are remarkable creatures. You can learn all their habits in a day, and yet after 100 years, they can still surprise you. I don't think that's in the movie, or I don't think that's in the book. No, that's not in the book. I don't think that's in the book. Is that in the book? Someone help me out with that. Even if that's not, that's one of the, if that's not in the book, that is exceptional screenwriting. Just for that one thing. I will not praise them on screenwriting for anything else that they've done, because I don't think it was really that great of a screenwritten thing. It was in the appendix. Okay. It might have been. I gotta try to find that, because that is a really great encapsulation of hobbits. They really do surprise you around every step, but they're really, really simple. It is in the book. Okay, good. The only good thing that they ever wrote was in the book. Yeah, Bilbo really does exemplify that quiet courage. It's a great, great, great word for it. He's someone you want on your side. Man, I love that. Hobbit anthropologist. That's great. It's a paraphrase at worst. Yeah, I think it might be like a paraphrase or something. Let's keep reading. Hobbits really are so fantastic. They're the greatest creatures. Be like a hobbit. Be like a freaking hobbit. Don't be like a dwarf. Unless you're going to be like Gimli or Balin. You can kind of be like Balin. He did not wake up, of course, but went still on and on. Still, all sign of the door behind had faded away. Like, this is one of those chapters where I'm just gonna nerd out about everything. It's gonna take us 5 hours to finish this chapter, because I'm gonna keep nerding out about these small things that J.C. Tolkien is writing. What a great, exceptional paragraph or sentence. That is like such a good line for a kid. He did not wake up, of course, but went still on and on, till all sign of the door behind had faded away. He was altogether alone. Soon he thought it was beginning to feel warm. Is that a kind of glow I seem to see coming right ahead down there? You thought? It was. This is such good writing. Ooh, useful map on Discord. Are we mapping Erebor? That'd be great. Ooh, there's a cool map. Okay, excellent. The secret door goes in there. Tunnel into smog. Dang, okay. So the front gate, it's almost the same distance from the front gate to Smog's little cellar. Bottommost cellar. Thank you for that map. That map is actually excellent. I love that map. Beauty. That's a beauty. Honestly, I think if you model your life after Lobelia Sackville Baggins, it's better. It's honestly not bad. There's some hobbits that are obviously not great, but like hobbits and dwarves are like the opposite to me. Like out of hobbits, 99% of hobbits are great, exceptional beings, and maybe 1% are weak and rotten. With dwarves, it feels like the opposite. With dwarves, it feels like 99 are rotten, and there's only like 1% that are great. And Balin is in that great crowd. I have my opinion of dwarves has just gone significantly down in this book, which means my opinion of Gimli has just shot up significantly. Gimli's the best. Like, this is just firming up my love of Gimli. Oh no. Don't say that. Only for dwarves. Like, I'm just repeating what Tolkien has said before. I guess they're like a mixed bag. Yeah, and we have really only seen the best of the hobbits, and we've seen these. There's like 13 dwarves that or there's 12 dwarves that I don't like, and one that I kind of do. So maybe I'm generalizing a little bit. Let's wait till I see more dwarves. We'll see. As he went forward, it grew and grew, till there was no doubt about it. It was a red light, steadily getting redder and redder. Also, it was now undoubtedly hot in the tunnel. Wisps of vapor floated up and past him, and he began to sweat. The sound, too, began to throb in his ears, a sort of bubbling, like the noise of a large pot galloping in the fire, mixed with the rumble of gigantic tomcats purring. This grew to the unmistakable gurgling noise of some vast animal snoring in its sleep down there in the red glow in front of him. It was at this point that Bilbo stopped. Going on from there was the bravest thing he ever did. Love that. The tremendous things that happened afterward were nothing compared to it. He fought the real battle in the tunnel alone, before he ever saw the vast danger that lay in wait. Ah, this is so good. J.R.R. Tolkien's writing has taken a significant step up in this chapter. Like, his writing is exceptional everywhere. But this is like when a writer who hits home runs all the time, all of a sudden hits like, a 600-foot bomb. And it's like no one can even see where it goes. Ah, this is so good. Like, you have to deal with the battle inside yourself the battle inside yourself is more important than the battle that's going on. That's like literally right outside of your door. At any rate, after a short halt, go on he did. And you could picture him coming to the end of the tunnel. An opening of much the same size and shape as the door above. Though through it peeps the hobbit's little head. Before him lies the great bottommost cellar, or dungeon hall of the ancient dwarves, right at the mountain's root. It is almost dark, so that its vastness can only be dimly guessed. But rising from the near side of the rocky floor, there is a great glow. The glow of Smaug. This writing is so good. So tiny thing. I actually would love your guys' opinion on this. Man, we've been reading for 20 minutes and we're only a page and a half in. I would love your guys' opinion on this, because if I was J.R. Tolkien's editor right here, I would say that should have been the end of the last chapter. On the Doorstep is great, but I mean that chapter is called On the Doorstep, so he can't really go through the door. Maybe he should have retitled that. But I'm saying everything from that point before, everything that we just read should have been in the previous chapter. And then he should have ended the chapter with the glow of Smaug. Maybe. Like, I like this chapter because this is like perfect right now. But as like a bedtime story, you hear the glow of Smaug and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't wait for tomorrow. I guess you're kind of waiting that too when the door opens. And you're like, maybe that's the point of the story. Maybe that's just maybe an interesting essay for how the story would function had he ended it here versus where he did. Because maybe he's trying to communicate something about bravery rather than he is trying to communicate something about drama, which feels very Tolkien. Weirdly, okay, I'm going back. Tolkien's original way to do it is actually better, because I don't think he cares that much about drama so much. Like, he doesn't want to end a chapter. Like, all these chapters do have slight cliffhangers to some degree, but the chapters are more so like cliffhangered with a decision that the person has to make rather than just drama for drama's sake. You know what I mean? Like, the most important part of this chapter right now, or the last chapter, was the doors open. The question that should be rolling around in the kid's mind is, who's going to go in first? Which is the more important question than, oh no, Smaug's right in front of me. So, I take back what I said. Tolkien is perfect. He's absolutely perfect. Maybe I'll write an essay about that. One second. I'm gonna write some of this stuff down at the end like I usually do. All right. Chapter endings. This is an exceptional chapter. 2 essays per week. No. Maybe. There he lay, a vast red golden dragon, fast asleep. A thrumming came from his jaws and nostrils, and wisps of smoke, but his fires were low in slumber. Beneath him, under all his limbs, and his huge coiled tail, and about him, on all sides stretching away across the unseen floor, lay countless piles of precious things, gold wrought and unwrought, gems and jewels, and silver red stained in the ruddy light. And silver red stained. In the ruddy light. I guess it's because it's the light that's causing it. Yeah, 2.5 essays. Bedtime story can't have too strong of a cliffhanger. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And I do think that maybe Tolkien ends his chapters more at important teaching moments for the parents rather than on dramatic moments, which I wish maybe more people would end their children's stories like that. I feel like Charlotte's Web is kind of like that. I want to revisit Charlotte's Web soon. But I feel like chapter endings are less about the drama and more about like, okay, now as a parent, I can have a conversation with my child about this. After the end of that chapter, like after the end of On the Doorstep, the most important part of that is, who do you think is going to go in first? And that's the question that they can ask. Because the next chapter, all of a sudden, it's just gallivanting and talking about and praising Bilbo for his bravery. I love that so much. Yeah, if you're the reader unable to put the book down versus wanting to put your kids to sleep, I think that's a huge part in this. Totally agree with that assessment. Yeah, I love that I totally agree too that he's not really like obsessed with trying to keep the reader turning the page. He's just creating a good story. And he trusts you to be able to turn the page. Because not that he's like trying to keep it as interesting as he can every single page. This is a story worthwhile to read. Hmm. Smaug is the wealthiest fictional character. That's amazing. I gotta look that up. That's actually hilarious. I'm gonna write that down. I mean, he's way more wealthy than Edmond Dantes, that's for sure. Edmund only found one little chest of gems. Smaug. Smaug has to be a trillionaire. How much money do people say that Smaug has right here? It looks like more than Scrooge McDuck. Forbes did a study on it. I love that. All right, let's keep reading. Smaug lay, with wings folded like an immeasurable bat, turned partly on one side so that the hobbit could see his underparts. Uh-oh. And his long, pale belly. And Bilbo goes, I see London, I see France. I see Smaug's underparts. Kind of find something that rhymes with parts. What's the city that rhymes with parts? Um, long pale belly crusted with gems and fragments of gold from his long lying on his costly bed. Wow. He's been lying on his bed so long he has encrusted gems in it. Behind him, where the walls were nearest, could dimly be seen coats of mail, helms and axes, swords and spears hanging. And there in rows stood great jars, and vessels filled with wealth that could not be guessed. To say that Bilbo's breath was taken away is no description at all. There are no words left to express his staggering or his staggerment, since men changed the language of what they learned of elves in the days when all the world was wonderful. Man. There's something that Tolkien does too in these books, which is create a real nostalgia for something that you didn't even know you wanted. And something that I don't even know the feel of. Like, why am I nostalgic for those days when I don't really know anything about them? But I am. Nostalgic for these days. Yeah, it's definitely another language detail for sure. He loves his language. Yeah, I really do feel nostalgia for that place that I've never been, which is weird. I shouldn't, but I do. Bilbo had heard tell and sing of dragon hoards before, but the splendor, the lust, the glory of such treasure had never yet come home to him. His heart was filled and pierced with enchantment, and with the desire of the dwarves. And he gazed motionless, almost forgetting the frightful guardian, at the gold beyond price and count. Interesting. Wait, the desire of dwarves. His heart was filled and pierced with enchantment, and with the desire of dwarves. And he gazed motionless, almost forgetting the frightful guardian, at the gold beyond price and count. This is an interesting thing that he's trying to do here too. Because I feel like he's putting Bilbo in a position where his heart could be tarnished. What's Bilbo's response going to be? Let's read and find out. He gazed for what seemed an age, Before drawn, almost against his will, he stole from the shadow of the doorway, across the floor to the nearest edge of the mounds of treasure. Above him, the sleeping dragon lay, a dire menace, even in his sleep. He grasped a great two-handled cup, as heavy as he could carry, and cast one fearful eye upwards. Smaug stirred a wing, opened a claw. The rumble of his snoring changed its note. Then Bilbo fled. But the dragon did not wake, not yet, but shifted into other dreams of greed and violence, lying there in his stolen hall while the little hobbit toiled back up the long tunnel. His heart was beating, and a more fevered shaking was in his legs than when he was going down. But still he clutched the cup. And his chief thought was, I've done it. I will show them. More like a grocer than a burglar, indeed. Well, we'll hear no more of that. Love that. Nor did he. Balin was overjoyed to see the hobbit again, and as delighted as he was surprised. He picked up Bilbo and carried him out into open air. It was midnight. And clouds had covered the stars. But Bilbo lay with his eyes shut, gasping and taking pleasure in the feel of the fresh air again. Oh! And hardly noticing the excitement of the dwarves, or how they praised him, and patted him on the back and put themselves and all their families for generations to come at his service. I feel like that sentence is a really important one where he takes pleasure in the feel of fresh air again. Like he was just in this cavern with immeasurable treasure that would make him richer than any person who has ever lived. And it's almost like he takes more pleasure in fresh air getting out of that place than he does being in it. And I know, yeah, it's very stifling and I know like it's hot, but I do think that there's like a more metaphysical point there, like a meta point. Because this reminds me a little bit of the Theoden coming out of his stupor. This is like Tolkien's solution for being stuck is fresh air. You had an iguana for a while. They stink. I feel like they would stink. I really love this. This is such an exceptional chapter. Tolkien's solution for being stuck. Weirdly, I smell a fire out right now, and I'm wondering if these are the Canadian fires coming back. I just started smelling it, or if that's my neighbor barbecuing. It smells more like fire than it does a barbecue. Maybe my apartment's on fire, and we don't know. Maybe Smog's around. Honestly, this kind of fits. Wow, this weirdly fits with this chapter. You guys are paying Canada to burn wildfires so that it infects our air during the smog chapter. You guys are brilliant. All right, let's keep reading. The dwarves were still passing the cup from hand to hand and talking delightedly of the recovery of their treasure. When suddenly a vast rumbling woke in the mountains underneath, as if an old volcano that had made up its mind to start erupting once again. The door behind them was pulled nearly to, and blocked from closing with a stone. But up the long tunnel came the beautiful, I misread that. That was a slip. Came the dreadful echoes from far down in the depths of a bellowing and trampling that made the ground beneath them tremble. Interesting. Does he know that there's one piece of treasure missing? Is he that greedy? Or I'm getting a stroke. Yeah, it's true. You smell burnt toast, right? Then the dwarves forgot their joy and their confident boasts of a moment before and cowered down in fright. Smog was still to be reckoned with. It does not do to leave a live dragon out of your calculations if you live near him. I love that. That's such a good sentence. Dragons may not have much real use for their wealth, but they know it to an ounce as a rule, especially after long possession. And Smog was no exception. Interesting. He had passed from an uneasy dream in which a warrior, altogether insignificant in size, but provided with a bitter sword and great courage, figured more unpleasantly. Huh. So he's dreaming of Bilbo here. An uneasy dream to a doze, and from a doze to wide waking. There was a breath of strange air in his cave. Could there be a draught from that little hole? He had never felt quite happy about it, though it was so small, and now he glared at it in suspicion and wondered why he had never blocked it up. Of late he had half fancied he had caught the dim echoes of a knocking sound from far above that came down through it to his lair. He stirred and stretched forth his neck to sniff. Then he missed the cup. Crazy that he knows that this cup is gone, and all his hordes and hordes of treasure. He knows that one cup is gone. Insane. Thieves, fire, murder. Such things had not happened since first he came to the mountain. His rage passes description. A sort of rage that is only seen when rich folk that have more than they can suddenly lose something that they have long had but never before used or wanted. That's so great. Oh, Attila, thanks for the 250. But the best decision about my channel was starting the live read. Honestly, these are like the live reads are my favorite part of the channel. I love doing live reads. They're like the greatest. I'm obsessed with live reads. They're definitely my favorite. Smog is greed incarnate, totally. Greedy little guy or greedy big guy. Good. I'm glad you guys love the live reads. Thanks for the 250, Attila. You're the best. His fire belched forth the hall smoke. He shook the mountain roots. He thrust his head in vain at the little hole, and then, coiling his length together, roaring like thunder underground, he sped from his deep lair through its great door, out into the huge passage of the mountain palace, and up toward the front gate, to hunt the whole mountain till he had caught the thief and had torn and trampled him, was his one thought. He issued from the gate. The waters rose in fierce whistling steam. And he soared blazing into the air and settled on the mountain top, and a spout of green and scarlet flame. Green and scarlet flame? Interesting. The dwarves heard the awful rumor of his flight, and they crouched against the walls of the grassy terrace, cringing under boulders, hoping somehow to escape the frightful eyes of the hunting dragon. There they would have all been killed, if it had not been for Bilbo once again. Quick, quick, he gasped. The door, the tunnel, it's no good here. Roused by these words, they were just about to creep inside the tunnel when Bifur gave a cry. My cousins! Bomber and Boffer, we have forgotten them. They are down in the valley. Ooh. They will be slain, and all our ponies too, and all our stories lost, or all our store is lost, moaned the others. We can do nothing. Nonsense, said Thorin, recovering his dignity. Thank you, Thorin. About time you're gonna do something. We cannot leave them. Get inside, Mr. Baggins and Pollen. And you too, Feely and Keely. The dragon shan't have all of us. Now you others, where are the ropes? Be quick. Okay, so that's the good thing. That's one good thing that he did. Either magic, green fire, or Smog is burning copper. Yeah, what's the green fire? Is that just the heat with which it burns? He's burning it at a specific heat? Because, you know, you do see green fire every once in a while for specific heats. Yeah, this is a good Thorin leadership moment. Yeah, he's definitely not a bad guy. He's just like a deeply, deeply flawed hero. Deeply flawed. Deeply flawed leader. Those were perhaps the worst moments they had been through yet. The horrible sound of Smog's anger were echoing in the stony hollows far above. At any moment, he might come blazing down or fly, whirling around, and find them there, near the perilous cliff's edge, hauling madly on the ropes. Up came Boffer, and still all was safe. Up came Bomber, puffing and blowing, while the ropes creaked, and still all was safe. Up came some tools and bundles of stores, and then danger was upon them. A whirring noise was heard. A red light touched the points of standing rocks. The dragon came. Ooh. They had barely time to fly back to the tunnel, pulling and dragging into their bundles, when Smog came hurtling from the north, licking the mountainside with flames, beating his great wings with a noise like a roaring wind. His hot breath shriveled the grass before the door, and drove in through the crack they had left and scorched them as they lay hid. Flickering fires leaped up, and black rock shadow danced. Black rock shadows danced. Then darkness fell as he passed again. The ponies screamed with terror, burst their ropes, and galloped wildly off. The dragon swooped and turned to pursue them, and was gone. What a good description. This is so tense. This is so perfectly written. Interesting. A Song of Ice and Fire, different dragons have different color fire. Usually they're scale color. Interesting. Yeah, Bomber is about to become, what's his name? Alex Honnold. That'll be the end of our poor beast, said Thorin. Nothing can escape Smog once he sees it. Honestly, so far there's been few things that have been quite as terrifying as Smog. Like Sheila was terrifying in a different way in that you didn't see her. Smog is terrifying in like just an utter rage. Smog might be the most terrifying creature in this world so far. Here we are, and here we shall have to stay, unless any one fancies tramping the long open miles back to the river with Smog on the watch. It was not a pleasant thought. They crept further down in the tunnel, and there they lay shivered, though it was warm and stuffy, until dawn came pale through the cracks of the door. Every now and again, through the night, they could hear the roar of the flying dragon grow and then pass and fade, as he hunted round and round the mountainsides. He guessed from the ponies, and from the traces of the camps he had discovered, that men had come up from the river and the lake, and had scaled the mountainside from the valley where the ponies had been standing, but the door withstood his searching eye. And the little high-walled high-walled bay had kept out his fiercest flames. Long had he hunted in vain, till the dawn chilled his wrath, and he went back to his golden couch to sleep and to gather new strength. He would not forget or forgive the theft, not if 1,000 years turned him to smoldering stone. But he could afford to wait. Slow and silent, he crept back to his lair and half closed his eyes. Dang! Dang. That is intense. Smaug is a greedy sucker. That's crazy. Oh, Paul, 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Congrats to all the members. The new members. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, and the fact that he can talk is even more terrifying. Paul, thanks for donating and then bouncing. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, enjoy bouncing. Enjoy bouncing. Sorry we can get more of the chapter. This is just such a good chapter that I have to keep going slow. Oh, I love that we still have so much left of this chapter. This is one of the greatest Tolkien chapters. One of the all-time greats. When morning came, the terror of the dwarves grew less. They realized that dangers of this kind were inevitable in dealing with such a guardian, and that it was no good giving up their quest yet. But the dumb thing is that they're just going to make Bilbo do the rest of this quest for them. Nor could they get away just now, as Thorin had pointed out. Their ponies were lost or killed, and they would have to wait some time before Smaug relaxed his watch sufficiently for them to dare the long way on foot. Luckily, they had saved enough of their stores to last them still for some time. They debated long on what was to be done, but they could think of no way of getting rid of Smaug, which had always been a weak point in their plans, as Bilbo felt inclined to point out. Then, as is the nature of folk that are thoroughly perplexed, they began to grumble at the Hobbit. Unbelievable. Blaming him for what, at first, so pleased them for bringing a cup and stirring up Smaug's wrath so soon. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. I would be furious. I would be so mad. So mad with the dwarves right here. Bilbo has done everything for them. Yeah, honestly, it is very believable, but it is unbelievable still in a just a ridiculous sense of what these dwarves can do. Like, I knew that they were going to do this. I knew that they were going to turn their back on him at some point like this. But it's just so annoying to see. Because you hope for the best in these creatures. Yeah, it's snow warning. Thank you. You just want them to be better. But they're not. They just keep disappointing me in annoying ways. Anti-dwarven bigotry. No, it's not, because it just makes the good dwarves that much better. Like, it makes Gimli's still my favorite. He's like the greatest. That's so annoying. What else do you suppose a burglar is to do? Asked Bilbo angrily. Thank you. I was not engaged to kill dragons. That is a warrior's work, but to steal treasure, I made the best beginning I could. Did you expect me to trot back with the whole horde and Thror on my back? The whole horde of Thror on my back. If there is any grumbling to be done, I think I might have a say. You ought to have brought 500 burglars, not one. I am sure it reflects the great credit on your grandfather, but you cannot pretend that you ever made the vast extent of his wealth clear to me. I should want hundreds of years to bring it all up. If I was 50 times as big, and Smog as tame as a rabbit. Love Bilbo. What a guy, dealing with these people. Ugh. Dealing with these stinking dwarves so well. After that, of course, the dwarves begged his pardon. Okay, good. There we go. What then do you propose we should do, Mr. Baggins? Asked Thorin politely. He really is the leader of this group. Like, it is crazy how Bilbo has become the leader. And the dwarves, I will. Okay, so I'm just gonna give them. I'm gonna give them a little bit of slack on this. They are doing essentially what people do when they go backpacking or hiking. You just kind of complain a little bit and grumble. Like, grumbling becomes a necessity to get through some things. They shouldn't necessarily grumble and complain about this person. It should just be about their circumstances. They shouldn't put the blame game on things. I think the blame game is where I really struggle with them right now. But Bilbo's growth has just been immense. He has such a good character arc in this story. And he really is a leader. Everyone is looking to him as leader. I have no idea at the moment. If you mean about removing the treasure, that obviously depends entirely on some new turn of luck. And the getting rid of Smaug, getting rid of dragons, is not at all in my line. But I will do my best to think about it. Personally, I have no hopes at all, and wish I was safe back at home. Never mind that for the moment. What are we to do now, today? Well, if you really want my advice, I should say we can do nothing but stay where we are. By day, we can no doubt creep out safely enough to take the air. Perhaps before long, one or two could be chosen to go back to the store by the river and replenish our supplies. But in the meanwhile, everyone ought to be well inside the tunnel by night. Now I will make you an offer. I have got my ring and will creep down this very noon. Then if ever Smog ought to be napping, and see what he is up to. Perhaps something will turn up. Every worm has its weak spot, as my father used to say. Though I am sure it was not from personal experience. Every worm. Bilbo is very like Samwise-esque. You know what I mean? Like, he's always saying this is what his father is saying, and he just says a lot in this chapter. But why would his father have the saying, every worm has its weak spot? Maybe this is a gardening metaphor? That the way you get worms into your garden is by feeding them good treasures, by feeding them good treats? Yeah, Bilbo was Sam's tutor, absolutely. But so that's my thought, the worm being a dragon. But that doesn't mean, I know it's like an idiom, but it should obviously just, it's like, just a general saying or a statement or a phrase. But I wonder why Bilbo's father would be using this all the time. I mean, again, it's just an idiom. Let's just say it's like, so let's get beyond just the fact that it might be an idiom or just a proverb. It definitely is just that. But we don't just think things are just, just one thing on this channel. I think this is more of a gardening metaphor. Or maybe a snake. Maybe it's a snake idea. Yeah, I definitely. So like 99% of me is like, yes, this is just an idiom, and it's a well-known thing, and he just uses it, and it means like everyone has their weak spot. Every little thing has a little chink in the armor. But maybe his dad came up with this. Let's come up with that theory. If his dad came up with this, it could be referring to two different things, three different things. It could be that Bilbo's father went on some serious adventures and actually met a dragon, much like Smaug, and had a similar adventure. That would be great. That's a cool little bit of lore that is in my head. I don't know if that's canon, but I don't think it's headcanon even, but maybe. Could be referring to a snake, and that's saying there was a problem with snakes in his garden, but gardeners do like snakes. Snakes deal with pests pretty well. So gardeners wouldn't necessarily want... I will not let this go. So gardeners wouldn't necessarily want snakes out of their garden. The only other thing I'm thinking of is actual worms. This is what Bilbo's dad probably means. That you need to woo worms into your garden to make it a healthy garden. And so by him saying you need to woo, every worm has its weakness. It's like their weakness would be like sweet treats. Like you need to figure out how to woo worms into your garden. This could make for a really bad essay. Honestly, that would be a fun essay to write. Fire-breathing snakes would not be a welcome to the garden. That's true. Guys, all we do is stretch things on this channel. Worms are weirdly hard to get at in the East Coast. You need to. They are obviously in soil and dirt, but like they're in greater quantity in certain sections of dirt where you can woo them. In wood piles, there are tons in wood piles. They like to compost wood piles. I don't think you could decompost something. That would be like the reverse of composting. Anyway, enough with that. Yeah, enough with that ludicrous thought. It's just fun, guys. This is what I do. This is the kind of stuff that you guys have signed up for watching this. So put up with it. Also, everyone like the stream. Come on. Everyone like the stream. Every worm has its weak spot. Naturally, the dwarves accepted the offer eagerly. Already they had come to respect little Bilbo. Now he had become the real leader in their adventure. Thank you. What we've been saying all along is finally confirmed. He had begun to have ideas and plans of his own. When midday came, he got ready for another journey down in the mountain. And honestly, this is like a great analogy for just having confidence. Because Bilbo pretty much had everything inside of him already. He just needed the confidence to become a leader. And this journey has given him the confidence to become a leader. You know? When midday came, he got ready for another journey down the mountain. He did not like it, of course, but it was not so bad now he knew more or less what was in front of him. He had known more about dragons and their wily ways. Had he known more about dragons and their wily ways, he might have been more frightened and less hopeful of catching this one napping. The sun was shining when he started, but it was as dark as night in the tunnel. The lights from the door almost closed. Soon faded as he went down. Or the lights from the door, almost closed, soon faded as he went down. So silent was his going that smoke on a gentle wind could hardly have surpassed it. And he was inclined to feel a bit proud himself as he drew near the lower door. Interesting. I love that he's getting proud of himself here. This is great. There was only the very faintest glow to be. Old Smaug is weary and asleep, he thought. He can't see me and he won't hear me. Cheer up, Bilbo. He had forgotten or had never heard about dragons since the smell. Uh-oh. It is also an awkward fact that they can keep half an eye open while watching while they sleep if they are suspicious. That's crazy. That's an awkward fact. I like that. Smaug certainly looked fast asleep, almost dead and dark, with scarcely a snore more than a whiff of unseen steam, when Bilbo peeped once more from the entrance. He was just about to step onto the floor when he caught a sudden thin and piercing ray of red from under the drooping lid of Smaug's left eye. He was only pretending to sleep. He was watching the tunnel entrance. Hurriedly, Bilbo stepped back and blessed the luck of his ring. Oh, Dan, thanks for the 5 gifted again. You guys are the best. And congrats to the gifted memberships. Congrats to those who are gifted. Is Smaug cold-blooded? That's actually a great question. I feel like there's an essay in that. I feel like there's an essay in that somewhere. Thanks for the gifted memberships, guys. You guys are the best. Appreciate it. Congrats to all the gifted members. Where am I? He was just about to step onto the floor. He was suddenly pretending to sleep. He was watching the tunnel entrance. Hurriedly, Bilbo stepped back and blessed the luck of his ring. Then Smaug spoke. Well, thief, I smell you, and I feel your air. I hear your breath. Come along. Help yourself again. There is plenty and to spare. That's terrifying. Imagine a dragon saying that to you. Bilbo changes his pants real quick, and then, gosh, that would be terrifying. Oh, Dan, thanks for the gifted, and go have fun running errands. Pick it up again later. This is such a great chapter, guys. This is a top tier chapter that Tolkien wrote. I think I like this more than Riddles in the Dark. Maybe Riddles in the Dark is more well known than this, but this chapter is just tremendous. But Bilbo was not quite so unlearned in dragon lore as all that. And if Smaug... See, why was he not so unlearned in dragon lore? Maybe his father... I'm just kidding, guys. But it's interesting that he knows about dragons. If Smaug hoped to get him to come near so easily, he was disappointed. No, thank you. Oh, Smaug the Tremendous, he replied. I did not come for presents. I only wish to have a look at you and see if you were truly as great as tales say. I did not believe them. Do you now? Said the dragon, somewhat flattered, even though he did not believe a word of it. Truly, songs and tales fall utterly short of the reality, O Smaug, the chiefest and greatest of calamities, replied Bilbo. Dang, Bilbo is just brilliant. And he's learning this from Thorin in the previous little thing. Thorin buttered him up and it didn't work for Bilbo. And Bilbo's buttering up Smaug, and it's probably going to work for Smaug because he realizes that he's greedy. According to How to Train Your Dragon, they have a fire hose. Valid. Well, How to Train Your Dragon, maybe one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time. Oh, so good. You have nice manners for a thief and a liar, said the dragon. You seem familiar with my name, but I don't seem to remember smelling you before. Who are you? And where do you come from, may I ask? You may indeed. I come from under the hill. And under the hill and over the hills my path led. And through the air I am he that walks unseen. Bilbo's so great. Bilbo is talking in riddles now. This is the real riddle game. What's in my pocket is answered in this chapter. I am he that walks unseen. What a line, Bilbo. Dang, Bilbo is spitting bars right now. So I can well believe, said Smog, but that is hardly your usual name. I am the clue finder, the web cutter, the stinging fly. I was chosen for the lucky number. Lovely titles, sneered the dragon, but lucky numbers don't always come off. I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them and draws them alive from the water. I came from the end of a bag, but no bag went over me. This really is riddles. This is riddles in the dark. This is the culmination of riddles in the dark. Because this is a true and proper riddle. This is so good. Because to me, this is answering the question of the bad riddle that Bilbo told in the end to win the ring. Now he's telling a good riddle, and he's gonna beat Smog with this. Like, because I think that's an issue that a lot of people have with the riddles in the dark chapter is the last riddle is not really a riddle, it's a cheat. And now he's telling a real riddle. Now he's redeeming that moment. Yeah, he's totally showing off. There's a fun essay in this one. I got to think about that one. It is kind of a cheat. Yeah, I got to keep reading. Let me read and we'll talk about that more. I got to think about this more. I feel like there's something deep in that, but I don't know what it is yet. I love what Bilbo says about himself though. I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them and draws them alive again from the water. I came from the end of a bag, but no bag went over me. These don't sound so creditable, scoffed Smog. I am the friend of bears and the guest of eagles. I am ringwearer and luckwearer. I am ring winner and luckwearer. I am a barrel rider, went on Bilbo, beginning to be pleased with his riddling. See, he's riddling here. This is great. That's better, said Smog, but don't let your imagination run away with you. This, of course, is the way to talk to dragons if you don't want to reveal your proper name, which is wise, and don't want to infuriate them by a flat refusal, which is also very wise. No dragon can resist the fascination of riddling talk and of wasting time trying to understand it. There was a lot here which Smog did not understand at all, though I expect you do, since you know all about Bilbo's adventures to which he was referring. But he thought he understood enough, and he chuckled in his wicked inside. Though I expect you do, since So here's a question. I don't know if I want an answer on this one. I don't want an answer on this one. This is a hypothetical question. I feel like I've heard rumors of other people killing dragons. Like, I don't know who, but I feel like Elrond's like great grandfather or something like that. I remember there was a comment about that on one of the videos that I made. Like, I don't think it was Elrond himself, but someone kills a dragon. One of my questions is, in the Silmarillion, is the Silmarillion going to follow this logic? I don't think the Silmarillion is going to follow the Hobbit's logic that deeply. Like, if an elf kills a dragon, will they kill the dragon by giving the dragon riddles and then like besting the dragon in that way? Like, I don't think that's going to happen in the Silmarillion. In the Silmarillion, it feels like it's going to be more like, not epic, because epic's the wrong word, but more like warrior-like. Yeah, and that's why, like, this is, to me, this is a children's book, so I don't think, like, and the last thing that I wrote, I was talking about on the channel, one of the last videos that I did was essentially like Tolkien's rewritten version of The Hobbit, which I think is a really fascinating thing. I just bought a Kindle version of the history of The Hobbit, and I just read that one chapter where he compiled the first 3 chapters in an adult version, and they are fascinating. Go get that book just for that alone. Because those chapters were exceptional. Like, they're very, very different. But they're so good. I really wish he did rewrite that, although it would have changed The Hobbit, which is why he ended up not doing it, because it wouldn't have been The Hobbit anymore. But I think the biggest thing that I got out of that was The Hobbit is just very different. And, like, it's almost as if The Hobbit lore is a different world than The Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion. Like, it is for children, and it's like a children's story. It's almost like a mythic children's story told in the world of Middle Earth. So yeah, I know he's not going to riddle him to death, but like riddling him is like you are able to face a dragon by riddling them. Like, to me, Bilbo would not have been able to stand much longer if he didn't start riddling. Smaug would have just started blowing fire, or like smelled him a little bit clearer. Because, like, a dog, I'm sure a dragon has probably a better sense of smell than like a dog. And if I'm in the dark, pitch black, Wes would be able to find me just by smell. Like, dogs can find you by smell. So his time was only, if he was just quiet, his time would have been short. If Bilbo just was standing before the awe of Smaug there, Smaug would have eventually found him I'm guessing after like 30 seconds to a minute. And he would have breathed fire on him, and he would have been dead. And Smaug would have probably thought, oh, my problems are done. But Bilbo knows something about dragons. How does Bilbo know something about dragons? How does Bilbo know dragon lore? That's shocking to me. I don't know how. All right, let's keep reading, because this is phenomenal right now. One of the best chapters of Tolkien. We're currently reading one of the best chapters of Tolkien. This is exceptional. But he thought he understood enough and chuckled in his wicked inside. I thought so last night, he smiled to himself. Lakemen, some nasty schemes of those miserable tub trading lakemen. Or I'm a lizard. I haven't been down that way for an age and an age, but I will soon alter that. Very well, O Barrel Rider, he said aloud. Maybe Barrel was your pony's name, and maybe not, though it was fat enough. You may walk unseen, but you did not walk all the way. Let me tell you, I ate 6 ponies last night, and I shall catch and eat the others before long. In return for the excellent meal, I will give you one piece of advice for your good. Don't have more to do with dwarves than you can help. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. The legends kind of making it to the Shire. I like that. Is Smaug giving good advice here? Don't have more to do with dwarves than you can help. Dwarves, said Bilbo, in pretending surprise. Don't talk to me, said Smaug. I know the smell and taste of dwarf. No one better. Don't tell me that I can eat a dwarf-ridden pony and not know it. You'll come to a bad end if you go with such friends. Thief, barrel rider. Huh. I don't mind if you go back and tell them so for me. But he did not tell Bilbo that there was one smell he could not make out at all. Hobbit smell. It was quite outside his experience, and puzzled him mightily. I suppose you got a fair price for that cup last night, he went on. Come now, did you? Nothing at all? Well, that's just like them. And I suppose they are skulking outside, and your job is to do all the dangerous work and get what you can when I'm not looking for them. And you will get a fair share. Don't you believe it? If you get off alive, you will be lucky. Dang, Smog is doing some, like, this is the best way to do manipulation. You just throw a bunch of half-truths in there, which are 99% truths, actually, not even half-truths. A lot of these are probably true. Like, if Bilbo, this is probably really what they want Bilbo to do. And Bilbo was saying that even. He's like, you need 500 thieves because it's going to take me years to carry all this treasure up. And if Bilbo does this, I don't know. I feel like they would still get, like, greedy and not even give him a fair share. Are they fair? I think dwarves are fair. I would say they might be greedy, but they're probably fair. They would honor a contract. So, yeah. Yeah, Smog's going dwarves, am I right? Bilbo is now beginning to feel really uncomfortable. Whenever Smog's roving eye, seeking for him in the shadows, flashed across him, he trembled, and an unaccountable desire seized hold of him to rush out and reveal himself and tell all the truth to Smaug. In fact, he was in grievous danger of coming under the dragon's spell. Interesting. Huh. Weird, because I was thinking before, I was like, the Balrog to me seems a little bit more scary. No, not really. But the Balrog has magic attached to it. The dragon right now, in my head, I was like, Smaug doesn't, but now he does. This feels like a Dementor's presence or something. Like, obviously, significantly better than that. But plucking up courage, he spoke again. You don't know everything, O Smaug the Mighty, said he. Not gold alone brought us hither. Ha ha, you admit the us, laughed Smaug. Why not say us 14 and be done with it? Dang, Smaug's smart. That's actually terrifying. That Smaug says 14. I guess it was the lucky number that he came up with. Why not and be done with it, Mr. Lucky Number? I am pleased to hear that you had other business in these parts. So he's wildly smart. He's figuring out Bilbo's riddles really well. In these parts, other beside my gold. In that case, you may perhaps not altogether waste your time. I know, Bilbo and Smaug should kind of just team up. No, he didn't eat 14 ponies. He saw the 14 ponies. And I guess that's the lucky number. An unlucky number becoming a lucky number is 13 going to 14. So I guess that's like logic that he's going by. That's still smart. Smaug is smart. And yet, his dragon spell, I feel like, is manipulation of turning someone against their people. That's a devious thing. Ooh, after this chapter of Bilbo versus Frodo update. Smaug's not even the smartest Tolkien dragon. There's other smart Tolkien dragons. Dang. That's crazy. I'm so excited for more of this lore. Smaug is brilliant, though. That's crazy. The name Wormtongue is literally referencing the way dragons talk. My mind is blown. They're little politicians. That's interesting. Man, this is so excellent. This is excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. Bilbo is inching closer to Frodo on a daily basis, guys. I still think I like Frodo more, but Bilbo, dang, what a guy. I don't know if it has occurred to you that even if you could steal the gold bit by bit, a matter of 100 years or so, you could not get very far. Not much use on the mountainside, not much use in the forest, bless me. Had you never thought of the catch? A 14th share, I suppose, or something like that. Those were the terms, eh? But what about delivery? What about cartage? What about armed guards and tolls? And Smaug laughed aloud. Smaug's like, LOL. He had a wicked and wily heart, and he knew his guesses were not far out, though he suspected that the lakemen were at the back of the plans, and that most of the plunder was meant to stop there in the town, by the shore that in his young days had been called Esgaroth. You will hardly believe it, but poor Bilbo was really very taken aback. So far, all his thoughts and energies had been concentrated on getting to the mountain and finding the entrance. Now, hold on, I want to pause real quick again. Had one of the dwarves, like, this isn't that crazy of a thought, but had one of the dwarves had a magic ring, they would have teamed up with Smaug at this point. Because I think the dragon, I feel like the dragon spell is in the way that they talk. Like, to me, these are weird thoughts that I'm having right now. To me, I'm like, did Saruman battle a dragon and learn the way of speech from a dragon? I mean, I know he's an Astari, right? He's a wizard. He's brilliant. He's smart in his own right. But his tongue, his ability to speak. Dragons feel more ancient than Saruman. Saruman's ability to speak feels very dragon-like. And that's why, like, that feels like the dragon spell to me. It's in the way that they're speaking. It's in the way that they can lull an enemy into siding with them. And weirdly, I feel like the dragon is... I feel like the dragon is kind of convincing the reader, too. Like, in this point, you're going, honestly, the dragon's making some great points. Why doesn't Bilbo just kind of team up with them? Because he shouldn't really trust them. But loyalty right here. I'm just riling up the chat members without self-control. I'm not reading that much of chat right now because I don't want to like get some of these spoilers, but interesting. Spell means speech. Okay, yeah. Speak, yeah. Speaks and spells. Yeah, okay. I know that from a poem. That's really fascinating. There's an essay in there. The dragon spell. Hold on, let me write this down in the back. Ooh, we still have 4 pages left, guys. This is great. Oh, what's up? Geeky Stokes is in the chat. Love that. What's going on? Everyone go subscribe to Geeky Stokes. One of the all-time GOAT channels. Steven just made an essay about the I forgot what the movie was called, but the child sword, and he's afraid of life, and I remember seeing the cover for that movie, but the Page Master. Thank you. I remember being scared of that movie as a child and never really watching that far into it. And then I should rewatch it as an adult. And the essay is exceptional. Like, I've watched most of your stuff. That was one of my favorites. It was so well done. So excellent. So everyone go subscribe to Geeky Stoics and get that done. But we got an essay here in the dragon spell. Dragon spell and speech. Like, I don't know. There's probably not that much of a... Anyway, back to dragons. There's not that much of a connection with Saruman and that kind of stuff, but I feel like there is. Like, the idea of speaking and being able to, like, lull and woo... I couldn't say that. Lull and woo someone into a position of, like, being against your posse. That's a skill. That's what Saruman was doing in the Voice of Saruman. That's what Smaug is doing in this chapter. These are some of my favorite stuff. Like, the Voice of Saruman chapter is still might be one of my favorite chapters. That was an all-time great. It's an all-time great chapter. Yeah, honestly, I think you're right, Cram. I think that it kind of is like a an ongoing Tolkien thing because I do think that he believes in the power of words more than some other people. Like, I love that these beasts can talk. Like dragons being able to talk is exceptional. It's so good. Smog is he's a smart little worm, a big worm. All right, let's keep reading. You will hardly believe it, but poor Bilbo was really very taken aback. So far, all his thoughts and energies had been concentrating on getting to the mountain and finding the entrance. He had never bothered to wonder how the treasure was to be removed, certainly never how any part of that might fall to his share was to be brought back all the way to Bag End under the hill, or Underhill. Now a nasty suspicion began to grow in his mind. Had the dwarfs forgotten this important point too? Or were they laughing in their sleeves at him all the time? That is the effect that Dragon Talk had on the inexperienced. This is so good. What a good line. That is the effect that Dragon Talk has on the inexperienced. It causes you to doubt everyone is behind you. It causes you to think of all these people gossiping and talking behind your back. And granted, the dwarves aren't necessarily on Bilbo's side, but they are. They're not opposed to him. They're not his enemy. They're also not necessarily like, they're just grumbling and complaining. They're like a bunch of like little weenies right now. Like, I don't love them because they're just grumbling and complaining. But I take that back. They are on his side. They're with him. He has brought them through hell, and they're a unit. They're on his team. Classic Sean. We've gone through 2 paragraphs right here, and I've just been yapping about this for 10 minutes. And it's going to answer this in a few sentences too. We all know that. It's going to guaranteed be that. Yeah, the little seed of truth makes it so much more believable. So good. I'm totally agreeing with that. I think that's the thing too. I think we're all more like the dwarves than we are like the Hobbit. But I think one of the purposes of the Hobbit is to be like, hey, look, you are a grumbler and complainer. You would easily be mad about food and about what Bilbo did, but you need to be more like Bilbo. I think one of the goals of this is be like Bilbo. Steven, if you're still in chat, there I could see a thumbnail of you saying you are Bilbo or be like Bilbo. Yeah, I'm falling for the dragon spell. Absolutely falling for the dragon spell here. We're watching this live as it's happening. I'm going, you know what? They're not really on his team. They're not really looking all this. There you go. You are Bilbo. It's a great, I guess that is a thumbnail. It's a great thumbnail. Bilbo, of course, ought to have been on his guard. But Smaug had rather an overwhelming personality. And Attila, it makes me really curious too that he's not the most sweet talking dragon. Weird. Interesting. That makes me so interested in the rest of this. I tell you, he said, in an effort to remain loyal to his friends and to keep his end up, that gold was only an afterthought with us. We came over hill and under hill by wave and wind for revenge. Surely, O Smaug, the unaccessibly wealthy, you must realize that your success has made you some bitter enemies. Then Smaug really did laugh. A devastating sound, which shook Bilbo to the floor. While far up in the tunnel, the dwarves huddled together and imagined that the hobbit had come to a sudden and nasty end. Revenge, he snorted. And the light of his eyes lit the hall from floor to ceiling like scarlet lightning. Revenge. The king under the mountain is dead, and where are his kin that dare seek revenge? Girion, lord of Dale, is dead, and I have eaten his people like a wolf among sheep. And where are his sons? Where are his sons' sons that dare approach me? I kill where I wish, and none dare resist. I laid low the warrior of old, and their like is not in the world today. Then I was but young and tender. Now I am old and strong. 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 Thief in the shadows, he gloated. My armor is like tenfold shields. My teeth are swords, my claws spears, the shock of my tail a thunderbolt, my wings a hurricane, and my breath death. He's really spitting bars here. This needs to become a rap. Someone needs to refigure this whole entire situation right here to be a rap. A rap battle between Bilbo and between Smaug. We need that. Someone make that. I love the way that Smaug speaks. He's wooing me into a spell right now. Dang. My armor is like tenfold shields. My teeth are swords. My claws spears. The shock of my tail a thunderbolt. My wings a hurricane. And my breath death. Oh, man, this is exceptional. This is just so good. Like, his writing here just takes a different level, too. And maybe... I don't think that Tolkien would do this, because I don't think he's been holding back on us this entire book. But part of me is like, Tolkien knew that he was going to knock it out of the park on this. And this is, again, what my analogy was. Like, he's hitting home runs, and then all of a sudden he hits one like 600 feet, and you're like, that was insane. That's what this chapter is. But I wonder if he was like keeping back some of the dialogue in this, some of his best dialogue. In the beginning of the book, maybe he's going like, I need to hold up, and I need to not write my very, very best yet, because I'm saving this for this chapter when I have my sweet talker be brilliant with words. He's just essentially writing poetry here in poetic, or he's writing, he's writing poetry in prose form. Like, really, the words of Smaug are like poetry coming from his mouth. I am really falling to the spells of Smaug right now. Yeah, I do know the epic rap battles. I saw the Tolkien versus Martin one. That was a great one. I think I watched it on stream somewhere. So it's somewhere in the archives somewhere. I don't know where to find that. Man, honestly, Benny Cumberbatch, he did do a good job. I don't remember a lot of that movie, but I think that he did a good job here. I have always understood, said Bilbo in a frightened squeak, that dragons were softer underneath, especially in the region of the chest. But doubtless one so fortified has thought of that. The dragon stopped short in his boasting. Your information is antiquated, he snapped. I am armored above and below with iron scales and hard gems. No blade can pierce me. I might have guessed it, said Bilbo. Truly there can nowhere be found the equal of Lord Smaug, the impenetrable. What magnificence to possess a waistcoat of fine diamonds. Yes, it is rare and wonderful indeed, said Smaug, absurdly pleased. He did not know that the Hobbit had already caught a glimpse of his peculiar undercoverings on his previous visit. This is so good too, because this is essentially this is the dragon speller, the guy who can speak really well, being outspoken by. Like, Bilbo is doing a one-up on Smaug. He like knows how to outmaneuver him. And weirdly, like, we wouldn't, I guess we would call it manipulation, but we would call it good manipulation from Bilbo here. He's out manipulating a manipulator. Yeah, I don't know. Does he though? He does it in this one section right here, what I just read, but I don't know if he's going to do this in the rest of it, so we'll see. But he's at least trying to, which I think is a good thing to try. When someone's manipulating you, out manipulate them. Maybe that's not the best advice, but I don't know. There's an essay in that somewhere, maybe deep down in there. I don't know. He's cunning. That's the word. Thank you. That's the word. Be cunning, not manipulative. Love that. Yeah, cunning. When someone is manipulative, be cunning. Out cunning them. He had already caught a glimpse of his peculiar undercoverings on his previous visit and was itching for a closer view for reasons of his own. The dragon rolled over. "Look," he said. "What do you say to that?" "Dazzlingly marvelous, perfect, flawless, staggering," exclaimed Bilbo aloud. But what he thought inside was, "Old fool. Why, there is a large patch in the hollow of his left breast, as bare as a snail out of its shell." Dang, this is so great. Philip, what's up? Thank you for the $2. You had an epiphany about Howard Shore's score. I like how that rhymes. That comes off the tongue really nice. What was your epiphany? Yeah, flattery does work. But it works on certain because it didn't work on Bilbo. Thorin was trying, and I honestly, weirdly, I think Tolkien words matter a significant deal to him, obviously. I feel like the beginning of this, now I know why I'm so distracted in my thoughts. Oh my gosh, there's so much to think about with this chapter. Now I know why he didn't, when we were talking about that chapter divide, why he started the chapter with Thorin trying to flatter Bilbo. That flattery doesn't work. Then Smaug is trying to flatter Bilbo, but not really flatter Bilbo. He's trying to dragon spell him. Ooh, it's tied to the Silmarillion. Interesting. And now you have someone who's actually doing this really well. Like, flattery does work. It has to work on the right person. Like, it's interesting that the flattery did not work for Bilbo. Bilbo was just courageous and brave and was going to do this anyway. I love that. Old fool. Why is there a large patch in the hollow of his left breast, as bare as a snail out of its shell? After he had seen that, Mr. Baggins' one idea was to get away. "Well, I really must not detain your magnificence any longer," he said, "or keep you from much needed rest. Ponies take some catching, I believe, after a long start. And so do burglars," he added, as a parting shot, as he darted back and fled up the tunnel. No, I want this conversation to keep going. This is such a good conversation. Man, Tolkien is just, he's such a master when he's writing about words and the words that characters are using. Any of his chapters that focuses on like a battle between words, like a conversation, which is all of his chapters kind of, they're just better than anything else that I've ever read. It was an unfortunate remark, for the dragon spouted terrific flames after him, and fast though he sped up the slope, he had not gone nearly far enough to be comfortable before the ghastly head of Smaug was thrust against the opening behind. Luckily, the whole head and jaws could not squeeze in, but the nostrils sent forth fire to vapor to pursue him, and he was nearly overcome, and stumbled blindly on in great pain and fear. He had been feeling rather pleased with the cleverness of his conversation with Smaug, but his mistake at the end shook him into better sense. "Never laugh at live dragons, Bilbo, you fool." I love all the little maxims that we get. Never laugh at live dragons. What was the other one that we got in the beginning of this chapter? If there's a dragon, like, you always have to plan for a dragon or something like that. What was that one? It was, "Does not do to leave a live dragon out of your calculations if you live near him." And it became a favorite saying of his later. Never laugh at live dragons. And it became a favorite saying of his later and passed into a proverb. "You aren't nearly through this adventure yet," he added. And that was pretty true as well. I love that. Bilbo did learn the hard way. Man, I love this chapter so much. The afternoon was turning into evening when he came out again and stumbled and fell in a faint on the doorstep. The dwarves revived him and doctored his scorches as well as they could. Interesting that he actually fell in a faint. But it was a long time before the hair on the back of his head and heels grew properly again. Wow, they have hair on their heels. On the back of their heels? That's an insane place to have hair. Anybody have hair on the back of their heels? Hmm. It had all been singed and frizzled right down to the skin. In the meanwhile, his friends did their best to cheer him up, and they were eager for his story, especially wanting to know why the dragon had made such an awful noise and how Bilbo had escaped. But the hobbit was worried and uncomfortable, and they had difficulty in getting anything out of him. On thinking things over, he was now regretting some of the things that he had said to the dragon, and was not eager to repeat them. Huh. The old thrush, that's interesting too. Huh. Makes me wonder if Tolkien ever like rewrote a version of this that was like a tame version of what Bilbo would have said to the dwarves, like the riddles in the dark chapter, versus what he would say later to Gandalf when he actually told his real story. This feels like the real story. Excuse me. The old thrush was sitting on a rock nearby with his head cocked on one side, listening to all that was said. It shows what an ill temper Bilbo was in. He picked up a stone and threw it at the thrush, which merely fluttered aside and came back. Wow. Drat the bird, said Bilbo crossly. I believe he is listening, and I don't like the look of him. Uh-oh. Bilbo seems to be very affected. Huh. Leave him alone, said Thorin. The thrushes are good and friendly. This is a very old bird indeed, and maybe the last left of the ancient breed that used to live about here. Tame to the hands of my father and grandfather. They were a long-lived and magical race. And this might even be one of those that were alive then, a couple hundreds of years or more ago. The men of Dale used to have the trick of understanding their language and use them for messengers to fly to the men of Lake Town and elsewhere. That's a cool lore drop. The thrushes of of Erebor. That's really cool. Original translated name of Smog was Tragu. Interesting. All right, let's keep reading. My throat is going right now. Well, he'll have news to take to Lake Town, all right, if that is what he's after, said Bilbo. Though I don't suppose there are any people left there. That trouble with the thrush language. Why, what has happened? Cried the dwarves. Do get on with your tale. So Bilbo told them all he could remember, and he confessed that he had a nasty feeling that the dragon guessed too much from the riddles added to the camps and the ponies. I am sure he knows we came from Lake Town and had help from there. I have a horrible feeling that his next move may be in that direction. I wish to goodness I had never said that about Barrel Rider. It would make even a blind rabbit in these parts think of the lakemen. Well, well, it cannot be helped. And it is difficult not to slip in talking to a dragon, or so I have always heard, said Balin, anxious to comfort him. Oh, Balin is the best! Well, well, it cannot be helped. It is difficult not to slip in talking to a dragon, or so I have always heard. Balin, just giving him a little comfort here. I should do an essay on Balin. Why Balin is by far the greatest dwarf in this. I think you did very well, if you ask me. You found out one very useful thing at any rate, and got home alive. And that is more than most of us can say who have had words with the likeness of Smaug. It may be a mercy and a blessing yet to know of the bare patch in the old worm's diamond waistcoat. That turned the conversation, and they all began discussing dragon slang's historical, dubious, and mythical, and the various sorts of stabs and jabs and undercuts, and the different arts, devices, and stratagems by which they had been accomplished. I want a deep dive in that. So bad. So bad. The general opinion was that catching a dragon napping was not as easy as it sounded, and the attempt to stick one or prod one asleep was more likely to end in disaster than a bold frontal attack. All the while they talked, the thrush listened. Till at last, when the stars began to peep forth, it silently spread its wings and flew away. Interesting. All the while they talked, and the shadows lengthened, Bilbo became more and more unhappy, and his foreboding grew. What's that guy's name? What's the dude in why can't I think of his name? He speaks the thrush language probably. He's probably like the real king of Dale or something. He's got to be like a descendant of them. I forgot his name. Bard, thank you. Huh. At last he interrupted them. I am sure we are very unsafe here, he said, and I don't see the point of sitting here. The dragon has withered all the pleasant green. And anyway, the night has come and it is cold. But I feel it in my bones that this place will be attacked again. Smaug knows how I came down to this hall, and you can trust him to guess where the other end of the tunnel is. He will break all this side of the mountain to bits, if necessary, to stop our entrance, and if we are smashed with it, the better he will like it. You are very gloomy, Mr. Baggins, said Thorin. Why has not Smaug blocked the lower end, then, if he is so eager to keep us out? He is not, or we should have heard him. I don't know, because at first he wanted to try to lure me in, I suppose. And now because he is waiting till after tonight's hunt, or because he does not want to damage his bedroom if he can help it. But I wish you would not argue. Smaug will be coming at any minute now, and our only hope is to get well in the tunnel and shut the door. It seemed so much in earnest that the dwarves at last did as he said, though they delayed in shutting the door. It seemed a desperate plan, for no one knew whether or how they could get in again from the inside. And the thought of being shut in a place from which the only way out led through the dragon's lair was not one they liked. Also, everything seemed quite quiet, both outside and down the tunnel. So for a longish while, they sat inside, not far down from the half-open door, and went on talking. Yeah, Bilbo trusts in his gut. The talk turned to the dragon's wicked words about the dwarves. Bilbo wished he had never heard them, or at least that he could feel quite certain that the dwarves were now absolutely honest when they declared that they had never thought at all about what would happen after the treasure had been won. We knew it would be a desperate venture, said Thorin. And we know that still, and I think that's when we have won it. And I still think that when we have won it, it will be time enough to think what to do about it. As for your share, Mr. Baggins, I can assure you that we are more than grateful, and you shall choose your own 14th, as soon as we have everything to divide. I am sorry if you are worried about transport, and I admit the difficulties are great. The lands have not become less wild with the passing of time. Rather the reverse. But we will do whatever we can for you, and for our share of the cost when the time comes. Believe me or not, as you like. I love that. Okay, that's kind of good. Oh man, Balin's tomb. No. Oh, devastating. Balin truly is the greatest, but this is a good Thorin line. So dwarves are a little nuts, they're a little crazy, but at the very least, they keep their word. They're like people of oath and people of bond, and I do love that Thorin said that there. Like that ups him in my contest or in my mind. And there's a whole idea too where like Smog, I do think that this chapter is brilliant because Smog his dragon speech has worked on me exceptionally well. How much have I been trashing the dwarves in this chapter? I've been just ripping them. They're terrible. And then now I'm like, you know what? Thorin's not that bad. I don't love them all that much, but it's just such exquisite writing. Every time that I feel like I get blown away by J.R. Tolkien, I'm like, there's no more that like he's like emptied his bag of tricks. He's got a whole Thorin, or he's got a whole Smog treasure trove of tricks of writing in his back pocket. It's insane. It's crazy. John has shall have more. He has the greatest line in the book. Am I not at the greatest line in the book yet? I don't feel like we haven't hit the greatest line in the book yet. I'll probably know that when we get there. I hope. Yeah, I know Juan is a good boy. That's all I know. That's all I know. No more spoilers about Juan. Juan. I do know that he's a dog. That's pretty much all I know. Man, what a good writer. This guy really knows how to write. All right, let's keep reading. From that, the talk turned to the great hoard itself and to the things that Thorin and Balin remembered. They wondered if they were still lying there, unharmed in the halls below. The spears that were made for the armies of the great king Bladderthin, long since dead, each had a thrice forged head, and their shafts were inlaid with cunning gold, but they were never delivered or paid for. Shields made for warriors long dead. The great golden cup of Thror, two-handed, hammered and carven with birds and flowers whose eyes and petals were of jewels. Coats of mail, gilded with silver and impenetrable. The necklace of Giron, Lord of Dale, made of 500 emeralds green as grass, which he gave for the arming of his eldest son, and a coat of dwarf-linked rings, the like of which had never been made before, for it was wrought of pure silver to the power and strength of triple steel. That would be such heavy stuff. But fairest of all was the great white gem, which the dwarves had found beneath the roots of the mountain, the heart of the mountain, the Arkenstone of Thrain. The Arkenstone, the Arkenstone, murmured Thorin in his dark half-dreaming, with his chest upon his knees. It was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. Love that. But the enchanted desire of the horde had fallen from Bilbo. All through their talk, he was only half listening to them. He sat nearest to the door, with one ear cocked for any beginnings of a sound without. His other was alert for echoes beyond the murmurs of the dwarves, or any whispers of a movement from far below. Love that. The enchanted desire of the horde had fallen from Bilbo. Is that actually like an illness? Like, are they going to get enchanted with, I guess, like gold sickness? Hold on. This corselet is something I should know. What did I miss? Coats of mail gilded with silver and impenetrable. Is that the mithril coat? I thought that was made in Moria. Was it just transported over there? I guess mithril was just found in Moria, and they kind of used it everywhere. Huh. Oh, mithril's true silver. That's right. Oh, cool. Wait. In a coat of dwarf-linked rings, the like of which had never been made before, for it was wrought of pure silver to the power and strength of triple steel. Is that the coat? So that is the actual coat? The necklace of Girion, Lord of Dale, made of 500 emeralds green as grass, which he gave for the arming of his eldest son. And a coat of dwarf-linked rings. So he gave this to his child, which is why it fits Bilbo. That's so cool. That is so cool. Wow. This book just keeps getting cooler and cooler. This is legitimately one of the greatest chapters that Tolkien's ever written. This is blowing me away. Consider me officially blown away. It was shaped in Erebor. Okay, interesting. Bladderthin was apparently Gandalf's name in early drafts. No way. That's actually great. We don't really know much about him. Okay, that's hilarious to me. All right, let's keep reading. Darkness grew deeper, and he grew ever more uneasy. Shut the door, he begged them. I fear that dragon in my marrow. I like this silence far less than the uproar of last night. Shut the door before it's too late. Something in his voice gave the dwarves an uncomfortable feeling. Slowly, Thorin shook off his dreams, and getting up, he kicked away the stone that wedged the floor. Then they thrust upon it, and it closed with a snap and a clang. Philip, thanks for the $2. Watch Treasure of the Sierra Madre Humphrey Bogart. Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Never even heard of that. I gotta look that up. I'll look it up after. Okay, let's keep reading. Yeah, I get on too many gallivants throughout these readings, but this is just one of those chapters where you have to. It's so good. And you guys these are like my live thoughts. Then they thrust upon it and closed with a snap and a clang. No trace of a keyhole was left there on the inside. They were shut in the mountain. No! And not a moment too soon. They had hardly gone any distance down the tunnel when a blow smote the side of the mountain like the crash of battering rams made of forest oaks and swung by giants. The rock boomed. The walls cracked and the stones fell from the roof on their heads. What would have happened if the door had still been open? I don't like to think. They fled further down the tunnel, glad to be still alive, while behind them, outside, they heard the roar and rumble of Smaug's fury. He was breaking rocks to pieces, smashing wall and cliff with the lashings of his huge tail, till their little lofty camping ground, the scorched grass, the thrush's stone, the snail-covered walls, the narrow ledge, and all disappeared in a jumble of smithereens. And an avalanche of splintered stones fell over the cliff to the valley below. Smaug had left his lair in silent stealth, quietly soared into the air, then floated heavily and slowly in the dark like a monstrous crow. Down the wind, toward the west of the mountain, in the hopes of catching unawares something or somebody there, and of spying the outlet to the passage which the thief had used. This was the outburst of his wrath, when he could find nobody and see nothing, even where he guessed the outlet must actually be. After he had left off his rage in this way, he felt better, and he thought in his heart that he would not be troubled again from that direction. In the meanwhile, he had further vengeance to take. Barrel rider, he snorted. Your feet came from the water side, and up the water side you came without a doubt. I don't know your smell, but if you are not one of these men, one of those men of the lake, you had their help. They shall see me and remember who is the real king under the mountain. He rose in fire and went away, south toward the running river. Dang. Wow. Wow, that was elite. Oh my goodness. That was just an elite chapter. That has to be in the upper echelons of the chapters. That's like immediately in my top 5 chapters of Tolkien. Oh, that was exquisite. Oh, that image of Smaug on the mountainside. Holy smokes, that's terrifying. Oh, and he's got like the dwarves, little dwarves are there, and he's just like chilling on top of one of them. The stone dwarf. That is sick. Yeah, he legitimately did forget them. Mwahahaha. Bilbo's cute little riddle is about to murder everyone in that town. Ah, wow, what a good chapter. Dang. Will the real king under the mountain please stand up? Who? I feel like there's a question for who that is. Who is the real king under the mountain? Oh, no, wait. Nerd of the Rings made a whole interview about that picture? That's sick. Send me that video too in the Discord. That's so good. And let me send the link for the Discord in case. I think most of you guys are in it already. But if in case anyone's not, you can join the Discord. Wow. Elite chapter. Legitimately a top 5 chapter of all time. Invite to server. If anybody wants. You can join the Discord with that link. Bilbo's like, close the door, guys. But they kind of they save themselves. I don't know what else they could have done. But yikes. That's rough. Yeah, that's true. Thorin is under the mountain. He's the king under the mountain. Because Smaug is on top of the mountain. He's away from the mountain. Man. Let's try some of Gene Wolfe's work. Yeah, I'll definitely add that. I've heard some good stuff about that. Good stuff about him. I definitely want to do Lonesome Dove. What's that book called? What was it called? It's like Mythic of the West. People love it. Won a Pulitzer. Something like that. Lonesome Dove, yeah. That's going to be on the list too. I'm going to read that. But wow. That was just a perfect chapter. That was just a perfect chapter. That was so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the first time Thorin enters the mountain is when Smaug leaves. Interesting. There can only be one king in the mountain at one time. Creepy dragons Narn Hin Hurin? I don't even know what that is. Mr. Donato. Let me see the OG. Wait, there's an OG illustration of Smaug. Oh yeah. That's the. I mean, I'm using that for the cover of this stream. That's Tolkien did that himself, right? That's so sick. And there's bats in that illustration. I love it. That's so cool. And Bilbo's picking up. Is he picking up a cup or is he just taking off his hat? I love it. There's like skulls in the treasure. It's so cool. Is the Arkenstone in this? Oh yeah, the Arkenstone is flashing from the top. That's cool. What a good illustration. I love that. Dang. The Tale of the Children of Ruin. Okay, love that. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. And it's not really spoiling Silmarillion stuff, so don't worry. Because for anything that I haven't read myself, it's just in one ear out the other. So like I don't really keep track of some of that. But yeah, don't spoil anything as much as you can. I don't really know anything about that, so I'm not really gonna like think about that or gesticulate about it. Just we'll get there when we get there. Whew. Man, these chapters. I think that was. Oof. I want to compare that with Riddles in the Dark. Riddles in the Dark might be the most well-known chapter in The Hobbit. I think this was better written than Riddles in the Dark. Riddles in the Dark was just like a memorable chapter because they're telling riddles in the dark. And like you get one of the most prestigious, well-known villains of all time. Is he a villain? Maybe there's an essay in that. Is Gollum a villain? Should the world be divided between villains and heroes? No, because the dwarves are not heroes, but they're also not villains. But comparing that chapter, Riddles in the Dark is probably more well known. I think this was the best written chapter that he has in The Hobbit so far. Yeah, but Gollum is most certainly a villain. The world's not divided between, good people and villains. But Gollum is a villain. Smaug is in the top 5 most terrifying Tolkien dragons. Are you kidding me? I am terrified to go outside or in any sort of stone enclosed structure right now because of Smaug. I really only know of one other dragon. Or no, I don't. Smaug's the only dragon that I know of. I don't know of any other dragon. I only know of one dragon in the Middle Earth realm. Isn't there? Oh no, I know of there was one that was mentioned, I think, in the Lord of the Rings. Glowring. Was it mentioned in the Lord of the Rings? Why do I know that name? Skatha. I know Skatha. Yeah, there are certain. So I will say that there are certain videos and essays that I make that I specifically do not read any of the comments on. Like there are some that I do, but I know, Audrey. That's the line right there. World's not split between good people and bad leaders. It's one of the greatest lines. It's a great line in a good old HP. Errol is fearsome. Errol was in a crossword puzzle that I was doing the other day. Skatha, yeah. Skatha. A wood drake from the north. No, he was a fire drake, not a wood drake. He was a fire drake. That was a fun essay. And Caligor in the Black. Interesting. Where's Glaurung? Why am I thinking of that name? Actually, don't tell me. I don't want to erase that from my mind. Yeah, a coal drake. Thank you, not a fire drake. A coal drake. Breathes cold fire. I don't know. I don't know. Man, I just keep saying that's an elite chapter. That was just an elite chapter. That was just so good of a chapter. I have so much to think about, so many essays to write. I wrote down like 7 or 8 of them, but I feel like I might have more to write. And there might be a bunch of stuff that comes out in this next week, if I have time to write it. I'm not gonna have that much time tomorrow. I'll probably get one done to see if I can get one done today for tomorrow. Dang. That's your personal favorite Hobbit chapter? Smog is a beat my tail against the mountain kind of Drake. I'm excited to meet the other dragons though. I hope they talk. I really hope that the other dragons talk. I would be very bummed if he like does like a troll on them and prohibits them from talking in some way. I feel like they should talk because it's earlier in the ages. I feel like the gift of speech maybe fades for some of these creatures, but they should be able to talk. But no spoilers on that. No one tell me anything. No dragon spoilers in the chat. Let's stop talking about dragons for a second. Man, okay. So much to think about in that chapter. That was one of his best written chapters too. Like I could say that about a lot of his chapters, but as far as just the writing is concerned, that is one of the most memorable chapters for me for writing. Like everything was perfect. I wonder every once in a while, if a writer steps away from writing a chapter and is like their pen is on fire and they're like, I just wrote a banger. I wonder if Tolkien did that after he wrote this chapter. If he's like, just had a stroke of inspiration. I wonder if he did any revisions on this chapter. I wonder if it just came out perfect because he was like, I feel like this is the whole climax of the book right here. That chapter to me seems like everything was culminating in this one chapter. I don't know what's going to happen after this. So we'll see. There probably is an actual climax. But the culmination feels really real there to a point where like I feel like Tolkien wrote that chapter from like everything that he was like going on in his head, and then he stepped away from that and was like, wow, I just did some incredible work. Like I'm curious if he ever did that for any chapter. Balrogs are more powerful than dragons? I feel like they're not. I mean, I don't know anything because I'm reading this for the first time. So the more I see dragons and the more I see Balrogs, I'll know and understand. I might want to fight a Balrog more than I would want to fight a dragon. But I could see theoretically how they probably would be more dangerous. I guess they're not like, wow, well they are created beings. But they are like I guess aren't they like heavenly beings or something like that? I don't know. Let's not talk about this because I don't want any spoilers. I just did absolute cinema, or should I say absolute literature. Yeah, Balrogs cast spells in the books. You know what? So do dragons. Literally in that chapter, it says the dragon spell on him. And it might be their tongue, but the tongue is the most powerful weapon for Tolkien, apparently. Because if you can have a dragon that talks like Saruman, that is terrifying. That's terrifying. Despite reading Lord of the Rings, I still have Peter Jackson's Balrog in my head, 100%. Although I will say my favorite image of the Balrog is, I don't know if this is really an accurate depiction of the Balrog. I'll try to find it. I just think this is a cool image of the Balrog. No, not Balrog, Shadow of War. Apparently there's a game. Like, I don't think this is a good depiction of a Balrog, if I'm being completely honest. But I just love this depiction so much. Here. Is that the one? I don't know if this is the one. This is one of them that I think is cool. Here, let me pop it up. This one. I do really like that image of the Balrog. It's creepy. It's kind of good. But there is another one. I think there's another one that I'm thinking of. I gotta find it. Let me just like look up Art of Balrog. I really don't like a lot of the images that Ted Naismith came up with the Balrog. Oh, this is one where he's like a man. This is a creepy one. Here, I'll just take you on a journey with me. This little sucker. That's kind of creepy. I feel like it's not a good depiction of it, but look at this. I want this print so badly. That's great. I love that. This little fire demon just chilling up there. Jazza's Balrog? Yeah, a lot of Ted Naismith. I do love Ted Naismith. I think he's great. Some of it's not like the greatest. Like this, it's intimidating, it's scary, but this same thing too. I feel like that's a spoiler because that's not Gandalf. So apparently another person fights a Balrog. I did not know that. Ooh, that's kind of creepy. Honestly, that would be creepier to me than that. I would much rather have this creature wandering after me than this. That is terrifying to me. Okay, Jazza. Ooh, oof. That's the one. Love that. Oh, this is what was this the one we were talking about before? Yeah, that like little human creature thing. Terrifying. This is great. I love that. That feels like a real Balrog for me. John Howe. Did John Howe ever do a probably most accurate Balrog on Discord? Let me check. Oh yeah, these are all the Jazza ones. That's terrifying. Actually, if it actually looks like a human more than anything else, that is terrifying. That's kind of cool. It's like it feels like comic book stuff. Has the Lord of the Rings or the comic that definitely has been made into a graphic novel? No, like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit have probably been in. I think isn't there an illustrated? Does John Howe do the Balrog? John Howe Balrog. Oh, this is like epic. Whoa, this is so cool. Check this out. Look at this sucker. Dang, that's crazy. Look at Gandalf just stabbing this little dude. I love this. It's like morphing into like invisibility, but like the shadow here. I love that. That looks great. John Howe's little Balrog. Lots of movie inspiration coming from that. All right, we can't look anymore because I don't want any spoilers of anything. If it has wings, it's garbage. There's a graphic novel for The Hobbit, not for The Lord of the Rings. Oh, that's a bummer. They need like a really good graphic novelist to create that. So they could do some fun stuff. Like John Howe should just do that. Is John Howe, is he alive? He's still alive. Dude, you're only 68. You got so much time left. Give us a graphic novel of The Lord of the Rings, please. You heard it here first. Yeah, some cool images. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, we need a lot of licensing, but they could probably get that. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, they probably, I don't know. That's probably why they haven't made it yet, because they can't get that. He even worked on Rings of Power. Uh-oh. Don't mention ROP here. I'm gonna get some real Real debate going on. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go take the DOG on a WALK. He's sleeping under the bed right now. Being gate kept. I think to some degree, yes and no. I think there's like good things to gatekeep for that. Like you want them sometimes into the hands of the right people. But at the same point, you do want more stories being told of this kind of stuff, the world being expanded, but again, by the right people. But who are the right people? That's tough. That's a tricky question. It's above my pay grade. Anyway, I'm gonna go take the dog for a walk. Man, yeah, keep sending me some of your creepy Balrog art. And send me some of your creepy Smog art in Discord if you can. It's fun looking at that stuff. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Or, I don't think it's Monday where anybody's at. Anybody in Aussie land in Monday? But it was a pleasure, guys. Thanks for joining on one of the greatest chapters of all time. That chapter was immaculate. That chapter was perfect. Go take a nap. Go enjoy the rest of your day. And wave goodbye to Gladriel on your way out. See you guys.